You're listening to Football Friday Night on demand exclusively on 600 ESPN El Paso. Stay up to date with high school football scores, updates, and news by downloading the free 600 ESPN El Paso mobile app.
The following is an exclusive presentation of Team 600 ESPN El Paso.
This is Football Friday Night on 600 ESPN El Paso. Here are your hosts, Beau Bagley and Paul McKinnon.
It's Football Friday Night, Week 2 in the Borderland. From now until the clock strikes zero, we have you covered with all the action. From West Texas to the land of enchantment, it's a full slate of games tonight on Football Friday Night, right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. I'm your host, Beau Bagley, alongside the hardest workers in the business. Once again, Paul McKinnon and the silky smooth Sal Montez. Guys, great to have you here again, Week 2. I feel much more comfortable. I now know what's going on. Hey.
Yeah, it's called high school football, right?
Hey, fantastic. I thought we were talking about ballet.
Yeah.
But hey, high school football is back and it's exciting. So we got a ton to talk about. Once again, 70 years of combined experience of reporters out in the bout in the land of El Paso to get your high school football beat in, bringing you the best. Our reporters tonight are Steve Escajeda, Brandon Cohn, Jaime Chavez, Adrian Brodus, Joe Rodriguez, Sean Calderon, Joey Panisi, and J.D. Sursley. Actually, Sean is taking the night off, so he won't be joining us tonight, but we still got a great group and excited about it. And we already have some games underway, one at the SAC, a big one at the SAC, and some other big games out of town, right, Paul?
Yeah, lightning delay, of course, out of the SAC. I got to see the first quarter and about a minute and a half of that one, and it was fun. Montwood out on top at 20-20 now tied. That's the last score that we had. But, boy, it was fun watching Yamil Oaxaca and his quarterback, Kevin Melendez, hooking up for all those scores. A 69-yarder for Oaxaca. He had a 59-yarder to start the game.
Wow.
And a little 5-yarder where the entire drive was him. They're just single covering him, and they're throwing him up, and he was making plays. And boy, that kid's going to be a handful for the rest of El Paso this year.
And something close to about 200 total yards for Oaxaca just in the first half alone. Once again, that game, Montwood and San Angelo Central tied at 20 at halftime. Down in Kerrville, a big game for the Americas Trailblazers, trying to rebound from a tough game against Midland Christian last week, taking on Brian Rudder in Kerrville. That game at last check, 21-7 in the third quarter.
Although one record-breaking moment for America is Anthony Miranda, a 99-yard touchdown reception. That got him within 14-7 going to half. You'd think maybe they carry a little momentum, but apparently not. Rudder back on the board early in the third quarter.
We mentioned that game, a neutral site game for Americus and Brian Rudder. Not very much neutral for Americus.
Boy,
7 hours away, is that right?
They're coming from College. They're north of College Station. That's where Brian is. So I guess you travel through Austin, the other side of Austin. Kerrville's equidistant from San Antonio and Austin. Makes a little triangle. We're coming from I-10 all the way to Kerrville. What's that, 7 hours?
Yeah, that's
what is
tough.
it to San Antonio? 8? So take an hour off that.
Yeah, that's tough. So also Franklin taking on Midland Christian in the Permian Basin. Once again, Midland Christian beat Americus 42-7. Now, Americus turned the ball over in that game last week 6 times. Franklin, of course, lost a close one to Rio Rancho Cleveland last week. Could they bounce back? Well, at halftime, Midland Christian leads Franklin 29-7.
And that's 29 straight points for Midland Christian. As you said, turnovers hurt America's last week. A couple of back-to-back inside the red zone that killed them. Same thing here for Franklin. Started to get away a little bit, but still just a 2-score game. Franklin coughs the ball up. Christian jumps on it and turns it into a quick touchdown. 29-7 going to half. A long road to hoe for the Cougars.
That's tough for the Franklin Cougars, but they got some firepower on this team. Cameron Bird, he's a playmaker. He had 390 total yards last week. Coach's son, Miles McOrder, 105 rushing yards. And then Bo Sparks, Bo Knows, what a great name. Just 184 yards receiving last week against Rio Rancho Cleveland. So Franklin has the ability to make that a game and come back in the second half.
And a couple of guys, just looking at video, I noticed. Number one, Josh Massaquoi. What a terrific kid that was. Again, you see these guys as sophomores running around making plays. Not on the team anymore. He's an ROTC guy, and that's where his higher education goes, looking at military schools, that kind of stuff. So unfortunately, that kid not on the field anymore. The coaches miss him, of course, but I sure do. And the other one, Stephen Powers, the other Wunderkind sophomore, they came in together. Not on the field a week ago. Not quite sure if he's on the field tonight. We'll know that one soon enough.
Absolutely. So we'll keep you updated on Montwood, Franklin, and Americus as those games finish up out of town. Big games tonight in town, especially our game of the week, brought to you by Brandon Cohn and the Iceman. Eastlake at Canutillo, both teams 1-0. I got to tell you, both Falcons and Eagles flying into this one. Eastlake, boy, did they look great last week against El Dorado. 48-14, Sebastian Rendon, 302 total yards and 5 touchdowns for the Falcons last week. And Elijah Uribe, kid you really like, Paul, 240 total yards last week, 4 touchdowns. He also had a touchdown pass in that game.
Yeah, how crazy is that? He was the ground and pound guy last year, but you know how those Eastlake offenses is. They love to jet sweep and all that kind of stuff. And Uribe's right in the middle of all that. Run for 100, catch for 100. And he didn't throw for 100, but he was 1 for 1 for a touchdown. That's about as efficient as you can get.
I'm sure a ton of teams out there will take that quarterback efficiency rating in a second. And Canutillo, meanwhile, brings in that Scott Brooks trademark defense. This game at Lowenberg Stadium, Canutillo last week beat Burgess 29-22. Here's the amazing stat in this game. Canutillo's defense held Tavoris Jones, running back of Burgess, to 13 carries, 52 yards. That's it for Jones.
In fact, the one place where the Burgess offense came from, where their points came from, Sean Street, the defensive rush end, who hadn't played any offense first 2 years as a football player. They plug him in as a tight end / slot guy. Had a 90-yard touchdown reception to get Burgess back in the game. 2 more short touchdown catches, 5 catches, 120 yards. So the Canutillo pass defense, while they're keying on Tavares, not razor sharp. And the reason you bring that up is because Eastlake tonight, they can throw the football. Let's see that defensive backfield of a good Canutillo defense against Eastlake's air game.
Absolutely. That'll be our game of the week. Eastlake at Canutillo. Kickoff just underway. We'll head out to Iceman Brandon Cohn in a little while for an update on that game. Our game of the week brought to you by Cisco Movers. Cisco Movers can help with packing, boxing, heavy lifting, and moving your belongings to your next destination. They also offer storage at their facility. Take it from a family-owned company like Cisco Movers. They'll give you a great price and help you on your next big move. Get started by filling out a request form at CiscoMovers.com. Cisco Movers, the best move you'll make in El Paso. And some other big games we have going on tonight. Andress and Parkland. I think this one's really a lot of fun. Coach Jaime Chavez out there. Andress and Parkland at Matador Stadium. Kickoff in just a little bit. Andress coming off a big win over the Chapin Huskies to start their season, a rivalry game. And here they got another Northeast rival in Parkland, whom they don't play very often, but this is sure going to be electric at Parkland.
Yeah, the last time these two teams got together was 2002, and I guess the biggest question is why. We had the same thing last week. Parkland and Eastwood went at it for the first time since who knows when. But yeah, this ought to be fun. And of course, anytime Jeremiah Cooper's at a game, one of the marquee players in the city of El Paso this year, he's always going to put on a show.
And Andress beat Chapin last week with 21 straight points, only 70 yards rushing for Jeremiah Cooper. But like you say, Cooper does a little bit of everything, so he'll be all over the field tonight. Meanwhile, Parkland, they lost to Eastwood last week, 35-20. Now, Parkland led 14-7 at halftime, but Eastwood really pulled away in the second half. Parkland had 4 turnovers in the game, so ball control will be key tonight against the Andress Eagles. They also counter with running back Isaiah Beasley. Beasley had 217 total yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Demarion Crest, what a wide receiver for the Parkland Matadors. 6 receptions, 221 yards, and a touchdown for Parkland.
Yeah, but Parkland not as effective throwing the football as they have been in years past. That's something to watch. You're plugging in a new quarterback, obviously. They did hit a big play to Crest, but it was mostly the running game, and it was mostly Beasley. And he went up against the 6A defense, and as you said, ground out more than 200 yards. So he's going to be a player definitely this year, and he's got to be big for them tonight.
Those are a few of our really big games. Other games out and around the area, Conquest Stadium, Delvi hosting Pebble Hills. That game, due to weather in East and West El Paso, really all of El Paso seeing some weather right now, and lightning. That game and a lightning delay that will kick off at 7:30, along with Chapin at Coronado, also a 7:30 kick there. Pebble Hills and Delvi is an interesting one. Delvi took on Coronado last week. No score at halftime.
Huh.
Adrian Broadus was telling us he had about 13 punts and about 5 first downs in that first half. It was a tough game there, but Delvi really pulled away 27 second half points to defeat Coronado 27-7.
And it should be interesting tonight. New running back Chris Martinez ran for 169 yards last week. Against again a 6A defense. He's going to have to be big against that Pebble Hills defense, which, by the way, Pebble Hills had an amazing start. Remember, they played Odessa Permian, the Mojo, last week, up 9-7 at half with an offense. They're still running a tandem. Their quarterbacks are young. They have Jacob Ledesma, the junior, and Jael Ochoa, Sebastian Ochoa's little brother, who's just a sophomore. Those guys did nothing. Ochoa threw for 70. I think Ledesma was around 30, and they ran for, if that's next to nothing, then I don't know what the running was, because I think it was around 50. The offense did absolutely nothing, but the defense still held Permian down. Permian fewer than 270 yards of total offense against that triple option run attack. Permian got him late, but early on, that Pebble Hills defense was stout, dude.
I was just about to say, that's head coach Mark Torres opening up against Permian with such a young team, a young offense like that. Your defense, that's putting a lot on your defense. The defense came through for the most part, really playing well. And
I saw him last night at the SAC watching the Thursday night, or the Austin thriller, I guess, touchdown the last 10 seconds of the contest to beat El Dorado. Mark Torres is a happy camper. You could just tell looking at him. He had his OC with him. He's a guy who's feeling pretty good about himself and good about his team after week one. A loss at Permian. They say there's no such thing as a good loss. Give Mark Torres a call. See what he has to say.
Absolutely. Other games tonight, we got Burgess at Bel Air. Joe Rodriguez on the call there. That should be a fun one at Highlander Stadium. Let's see if the Burgess Mustangs can rebound from last week's tough loss to Canutillo. Eastwood and Hanks, two old district rivals, taking part at Excalibur Stadium. That should be a fun one if you're probably a Troopers fan.
Yeah, and it's played at Excalibur Stadium, so those things are always fun just because how crazy they get. But, Eastwood, a veteran core, receivers. The one thing, Isaiah Pena, their stud receiver, he went down second half last week and didn't come back. So does Pena get on the field tonight? That'll be big. But Hanks is all sophomores and juniors. They lost virtually their entire junior class, quit to COVID last year. And Jason Blair told me only 4 seniors on that club this year.
That's tough. A big experience. Now, Eastwood, led by Andrew Martinez at quarterback, 407 total yards passing, 5 touchdowns for Andrew Martinez. So a big game there last week against Parkland. We'll see if he can keep it up. Also, running back, pretty solid running back there in Sam Lopez, nearly 200 total yards for Sam Lopez in the Eastwood Troopers.
And Hanks has Xavier Johnson on the other side, who had a good 2020 that nobody saw also.
Yeah, that's tough. All right, let's talk about another game, Bowie and Horizon. This team's both Bowie Bears and Horizon Scorpions both lost some tough games like there. Bowie really held on with Fort Stockton.
Yeah, quite a surprise. Their little 5'5" quarterback, the lefty Aaron Morales. I call him the quarterback, but they move him all over the place. If they want to run the ball, okay, let's put him in the backfield and hand him off. I think Irvin did something similar years back. I think it was Jess Puente. They put him in the backfield when they wanted to run the ball. When they wanted the quarterback to keep it, they put him at quarterback. That's what Bowie does with Morales. He's all over the place. They're like Austin. They're like Austin. Keep it simple, pro set, split backs, not doing anything fancy. Don't turn the ball over. Don't make mistakes. Let other teams beat themselves, and it almost worked last week for Bowie, as you said, against the District 2-4A champs from a year ago, Fort Stockton, going against a Bowie team that didn't win a single game in 2020.
Yeah, Fort Stockton defeated Bowie last week 32-21, while Horizon lost to Austin 32-14. That game all just underway at Horizon's Scorpion Emperor Stadium, I should say, so
right.
We'll head out there in a little bit. Meet up with Joey Panisi, get his take on the game. Some other big games today. We have Jefferson at Sanelli, Mountain View at Irvin. The Irvin Rockets, another big surprise, a great COVID year last year and really bringing it on this year. And how you say is that quarterback's name again?
Yeah, we discussed this extendedly pregame. Knutson.
It's not Knutson, not Knutson, it's Knutson.
And he's pretty darn good.
321 total yards last week, 7 touchdowns. That's right. That's not a typo.
Yeah,
You're not hearing that wrong.
4 throwing, 3 running.
Yeah, it's a fantastic
versatile
job. But as Irvin defeated Hanks 49-27 last week, so Irvin gets Mountain View. Seeing about that game at Tony Shaw Field at Irvin Memorial Stadium should be a fun one. Also, El Paso at Clint. We got Isleta at Socorro. Now, that's supposed to be a 7:30 p.m. kick, but due to all the weather and the lightning delays, that could be delayed even longer than that.
A Saturday morning kick, right?
And here's a fun game right here, I think. Cathedral hosting Riverside. Both teams 1-0. Cathedral looked pretty good. Riverside put up 63 points last week.
And Cathedral did almost the same. They were in the 50s against Tornillo, so I don't think we're still going to have that kind of high-scoring game. Riverside's probably got too many horses for the private school, but we'll find out what Fighting Irish are made of tonight.
Riverside has Jose Guardado, 369 total yards and 4 touchdowns last week for the Riverside Rangers. A big game there. Meanwhile, Cathedral, 47-0 over Tornillo. They had quarterback Fernando Uriarte. He had 355 yards and 6 touchdowns for the Fighting Irish. Running back Rafael Ramirez had 135 yards rushing, and wide receiver Ray Hernandez, 236 yards receiving for the Fighting Irish. So should be interesting. Could be a shootout. Potentially, we'll see what the rain does, or maybe defenses finally step up in this one. Should be a lot of fun. We got much more from the Land and Enchantment. Also, your out-of-town scoreboards a little bit later. We got a lot to get to. We're going to get to all of our reporters next. You're listening to Football Friday Night on 600 ESPN El Paso.
You're listening to Football Friday Night on 600 ESPN El Paso. Let's go back to Beau Bagley and Paul McKinnon.
All right, Sal, thank you very much. Welcome back to Football Friday Night right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. We have some scores from out of town so far down in the Permian Basin. Montwood hosting San Angelo Central. Let's start with that one over at the SAC. That was a 4 p.m. kick, delayed due to lightning. Central just scored on a 3-yard touchdown run. They currently lead Montwood 27-20. That game in the third quarter. Down in the Permian Basin, Midland Christian leads Franklin 29-7. That game just underway in the second half. Then down in Kerrville, Brian Rudder and Americus. Brian Rudder, boy, they've gotten a couple touchdowns there, Paul, and they now lead 30-7 in the third quarter.
Yeah, that one's going the wrong direction at the wrong times.
Yikes.
It's time to load up the bus, isn't it?
There was a safety involved. It sounded like an onside kick, then a flea flicker for Brian Rudder. Wow.
Yeah, wow is right, and not in a good way.
That's tough for the America's Trailblazers. Around town right now, Bel Air leading Burgess in the first quarter, 7-6.
Yeah, 98-yard kickoff return for Ray Campos put Burgess on the board, missed the extra point, but then Bel Air comes right back. Chris Baxter had a touchdown reception a week ago in that 21-6 win over Socorro. Another big one here, 50 yards out, Baxter with a score. Bel Air takes the early 7-6 lead.
And we have some late kicks all around town. It's been reported at Conquest Stadium, Pebble Hills, and Delvine. We'll kick off at 7:30. We'll head out to Adrian Brodus in just a little bit for a preview. Also a 7:30 kick between Coronado and Chapin at Thunderbird Stadium. We'll head out to Steve Escajeda in a little while. And but first, we're going to start out with our Cisco Movers Game of the Week. Head out to Lowenberg Stadium for East Lake and Canutillo. Let's join Brandon Cohn. Brandon.
7:52 remaining here in the opening quarter. Eastlake has taken a 7-0 lead over Canutillo. Now, first to begin this game, Eastlake quarterback Rendon has been running all over Canutillo's defense. On the first drive, a penalty actually is an unsportsmanlike penalty, a late hit out of bounds, ends up putting the Falcons in great territory there in Canutillo's territory at the 40. The drive stalls at the Canutillo 23 when the kicker Julian Merlucci then boots a 40-yard field goal at the 8:40 mark. They end up taking the points off the board, though, because of a Canutillo blunder. A penalty gives Eastlake an automatic first down. Then a couple more penalties on the other side where Eastlake moves them all the way back to the 36. And then the Falcons decide to go into their bag of tricks as quarterback Randone tosses it to his running back, Elijah Uribe, the jack of all trades. And Uribe ends up throwing a 36-yard touchdown pass to his wideout, Isaiah Chavez, on the razzle-dazzle shtick play. PAT is good. Eastlake 7-0 over Canutillo. We have 7 minutes remaining here in the opening quarter in our game of the week. Interesting game so far, to say the least. 7-0 Eastlake over Canutillo.
All right, Brandon, thank you very much. 7-0 Eastlake over Canutillo. That's sure to be a fun one over at Lowenberg Stadium. Just an update from Matador Stadium, Parkland and Andress. That's now going to be a 7:40 kickoff.
You can't read my writing. Jaime Chavez says a possible 7:30 kickoff.
7:30 kickoff.
Nobody can read my writing. So
again, this is just week 2. We're still getting used to each other. Also, an update from the SAC. Montwood kicker Diego Ceballos, a 22-yard field goal for the Montwood Rams. Central, that cuts into Central's lead. Central now up on Montwood 34-23. That's per the El Paso Sports Network. Thank you very much, Ace Acosta. Nice job there. Now we're going to head out to Adrian Broadus, get an update on Pebble Hills and Del Valle. That game is 7:30 kickoff, hopefully here in a couple minutes. Let's head out to Adrian Broadus at Conquest Stadium. Adrian.
3 minutes till kickoff out here as Del Valle is hosting Pebble Hills. The Conquistadores came off a victory last week against Coronado, 27-7. It was scoreless midway into the third quarter, and then the Conquistadores scored 2 in the third, 2 in the fourth, and it was largely part of their running back, Christian Martinez, the senior. He had a really big game in that one, guys. 169 rushing yards and a touchdown. I really like their quarterback as well, who had a pair of scores. Pebble Hills hung in last week with Permian, ultimately lost 26-15. I really like their balanced two-quarterback system with Jacob Ledesma, who had 37 yards through the air. Gael Ochoa, though, is really impressive, the sophomore for Pebble Hills. 70 passing yards last week, 35 rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown on the ground. So, again, just a couple minutes out here as Del Valle is getting ready to host Pebble Hills. So, right back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Adrian, thank you very much. A fun one over there at Conquest Stadium. Del Valle hosting Pebble Hills. Thank you very much, Adrian. We'll get out to you a little bit later once the action starts. More action over at Coronado, but has yet to begun. So, let's head out to Steve Escajeda and Coronado and Chapin. Steve, take it away.
Thanks a lot, guys. Well, again, we are in a rain delay here with a 7:30 start between Chapin and Coronado, both 0-1 on the season, but we are in the middle of the national anthem, and I don't want to be disrespectful, so I'll go ahead and kick it back to you guys at least for now.
Okay, thank you, Steve. We'll head it back out to you in just a little bit.
Bo, I think Steve was already disrespectful. Did I just hear him say we are in a rain delay? Does he not know he is at a football game? He is not at a baseball
He's
game.
Getting used to those Chihuahuas games, I think, over the summer.
Rain stops nothing. Lightning, however, does stop things.
Well, we got an update from Hanks High School. Eastwood takes a 7-0 lead over the Hanks Knights. We'll head out to J.D. Sursley in just a moment. First, let's head out to Bel Air High School in Highlander Stadium. Join Joe Rodriguez for Burgess at Bel Air. Joe Rod, take it away.
1:24 left in the opening quarter, and it is Bel Air leading Burgess by the score of 7-6. Burgess took the opening kickoff 98 yards for the touchdown on a beautiful kickoff return by Ray Campos. The extra point was no good on the ensuing possession. The Bel Air Highlanders went 6 plays and went 82 yards in 6 plays. Touchdown was a 50-yard touchdown pass from quarterback Noah Moreno to Christian Baker. And right now, as I'm giving you this report, the Burgess Mustangs appear to have just broken it for 50 yards on the touchdown pass. So it'll be the Burgess Mustangs taking a 13-7 lead with the extra point pending. So with 58 seconds left in the opening quarter, it is Burgess now taking the lead over this live call-in by the score of 12-7.
12-7. Boy, action right now. Breaking update from Joe Rod over at Highlander Stadium.
And more all over the city, at least where they're actually playing, Bo. Eastlake, Canutillo. Falcons on the board. Isaiah Chavez, a 36-yard touchdown reception. And take a wild guess who threw it, Beau Bagley. Elijah Uribe.
There you go.
1 for 1 for a score a week ago, and apparently 1 for 1 for a score again.
Should we just make him quarterback? Just make him quarterback right now. Why not?
One touchdown a week. That's all we ask from him, right?
Nice job there. We do have score updates from around the area. Clint has taken an early lead over El Paso High, 6-0 in the first quarter there. So now let's head out to J.D. Sursley and Hanks Excalibur Stadium, the Hanks Knights and the Eastwood Troopers for a little rivalry game over at Excalibur. JD, take it away.
7:10 left in the first quarter. Eastwood 7-0 over Hanks. Isaiah Pena, wide receiver from Eastwood, is not playing today due to his left knee injury sustained in last week's win against Parkland. 7 minutes left in the first quarter. Eastwood 7, Hanks 0.
Okay, JD, thank you very much. I'm not so sure Eastwood needs the full 100% roster here to take care of Hanks tonight, but still Isaiah Pena, a big part of the Eastwood Troopers offense.
But you're right. Just because the kid's not on the field, that doesn't mean it's anything serious. It also has to do with maybe the opponent on the other side of the ball.
Well, hopefully he'll be all right, and we get to see him next week. But now let's head out to Horizon, Emperor Stadium, and join Horizon hosting Bowie, the Bowie Bears, and Joey Panisi for an update. Joey.
Sounds
Joey,
like
go ahead.
I think Joey's having too much fun out there. You know who else is having fun is those Eastlake Falcons. Another one on the board, Elijah Uribe, 66 yards on the ground this time. They're up 14-0 on what was a terrific Canutillo defense a week ago. They're still looking for that D in the first quarter tonight.
Well, Eastlake can put up some points, and they're showing it. I'm surprised that Canutillo hasn't gotten on the board, but really, really good, strong offense by the Eastlake Falcons.
And that Midland Christian Franklin game just gets worse for the home team. 37-7 now, Midland Christian rolling in that one. It's going to be a long bus ride back for the Franklin Cougars.
That's a tough one for Franklin. Long bus ride to Albuquerque last week, and now coming back from the Permian Basin today. So, Sal, where are we headed?
We have Jaime coming up next.
Okay, Coach Jaime Chavez. He's over at Parkland's Matador Stadium, Parkland and Andress. Let's get an update from that game. Coach.
Okay, well, we're in a weather delay, and we were supposed to have a 7 o'clock kickoff, and then they moved it to 7:30. But some of the players, both teams, are barely getting off the field for their first warm up. So we're assuming we're going to start in about 15 to 20 minutes. This is Andress at Parkland. Andress 1-0, and Parkland 0-1. Last week, Andress took care of business by beating Chapin 42-13. And Parkland lost to Eastwood 35-20. And for Andress, Jeremiah Cooper, he had a big game last week. He's very effective, one of the best all-around players in the city, on offense and defense. He had 6 catches last week for 70 yards, and 6 carries, 70 yards rushing, and 1 touchdown, and receiving 3 catches, 64 yards. And on defense, he had an interception for the Andress Eagles. On the other side, quarterback Parkland quarterback Brian Alvaran, he had pretty good numbers last week. He was 12 of 28, 249 yards passing, 1 touchdown, but 3 interceptions. And the coach says, Coach Franz says Eric Franz, the head coach of Parkland, says he's got to be more careful this evening. And Franz also indicated we've got to keep an eye on Jeremiah Cooper. He's dangerous. He's one of the better players in the city, so that's our focus this evening. So once again, in Northeast El Paso at Parkland Stadium, there's a weather delay between the Andress Eagles and the Parkland Matadors.
And Beau, more action still out there. That Burgess Bel Air game getting a little bit crazy. Back on the board, the Mustangs. Tavares Jones, a 50-yard reception for a score. Remember, next to nothing for him for about 3 quarters a week ago. But on the board now, 12-7 they go for 2. Missed that one. 12-7. Burgess up on Bel Air. Also Horizon now up 14-0. Ernie Garcia, 70-yard touchdown run for the 2-score lead as they jump all over Bowie.
All right, that game at Horizon High School. Let's head out to Joey Panisi there at Emperor Stadium for an update on that Bowie Horizon game. Joey, take it away.
Yes, from Horizon High School with 1 minute and 10 seconds left in the first quarter. It's all Horizon. They're up over Bowie 14-0. Ernie Garcia scored a touchdown last week. They weren't quite sure how well he was going to do, but 2 times he touched the ball 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Game started with Bowie 9 consecutive running plays, and then Horizon blitzed twice in a row, sacked him for 20 yards, and then it's been all Horizon after that. Horizon's figured him out. It's going to be interesting to see how Bowie recovers. So with 43 seconds left in the first quarter from Horizon High School, it's the Horizon Scorpions 14, the Bowie Bears 0.
Joey, thank you very much. Great to have you on this week. And the Horizon Scorpions, a tough loss to Austin last week, really putting it to the Bowie Bears so far tonight. 14-0 Horizon over Bowie in the first quarter. Let's head out to our Cisco Movers Game of the Week. Get another update from Brandon Cohn, the Iceman, for Eastlake Canutillo. Brandon, take it away.
2:25 opening quarter here. It's 14-0 Eastlake over Canutillo. At the 5:10 mark of the first quarter, Eastlake's running back Elijah Uribe, he's lightning fast. He just can't be stopped. He scores on a spectacular 66-yard touchdown run straight up the middle, and nothing but gone. It was an amazing run to put the Falcons up 14-0. The Falcons defense putting relentless pressure on Canutillo's quarterback, Devin Granados, forcing the Eagles into numerous third and longs, and they just punted again. The Falcons looking great in this opening quarter here at Canutillo's Lowenberg Stadium. A buck and change remaining here, opening quarter, 1:45 to be exact. 14-0 Eastlake over Canutillo.
All right, Iceman, thank you very much. An amazing game out there. Loving the call from Brandon Cohn. Nice job.
Less than an amazing game out in Kerrville. Things get worse and worse for Americas. They're going to take their second straight loss as that one heads to the fourth quarter. Brian Rudder now up 37-7 in a game that's a little more competitive and a little more back and forth. We just kicked this thing off, and already this thing is a game that's back and forth. The Bel Air Highlanders now back up on top of the Burgess Mustangs. Joe Rodriguez tells us the Baxter kid, one more time from 70 yards out. Woo! Some of those Mustangs, they need to cover this guy. 70-yard touchdown to go with a 50-yard touchdown reception. Extra point blocked. Bel Air now out back on top of Burgess. 13-12, and I think that one's with like 10 minutes left in the first quarter. Maybe not quite.
Wow, that's going to be a fun one out there. 13-12 back and forth at Highlander Stadium. We'll head back out to Joe Rod in just a little bit. First, let's head out to Coronado T-Bird Stadium. Coronado hosting Chapin. Both teams looking for their first victory of the season. Let's join Steve Escajeda. Steve.
We've got 8:33 now to go in the first quarter, and we're scoreless between Coronado and Chapin. And first, I want to see Paul McKinnon. You are correct. It is a lightning delay, not a rain delay. Again, Chapin took the opening kickoff here, and he's doing it down the field. They're down inside the Coronado 10-yard line, so they're threatening right away. Chapin, again, lost their opening game last week. In fact, both these teams had a hard time moving the football last week. Chapin only amassing 183 total yards. They're going to have about half of that on this opening drive. So, again, Chapin, it's going to be looking at a second down and a goal to go from the 8-yard line of Coronado. Here on the west side, looks like we're going to be okay the rest of the night, lightning-wise. There's 8-9 to go in the first quarter. Chapin, nothing. Coronado, nothing.
And Beau, the Franklin Cougars back on the board, and back is in for the second time of the night. They're getting hammered. But coach's kid, Miles McWhorter, 50-yard touchdown reception from Cameron Bird. Franklin closes within 37-13. That one's headed to the fourth quarter by now.
Also, end of third quarter, started the fourth quarter. Montwood trails San Angelo Central 34-23. Tough game for Montwood out there. See if they can come back. We have weather delays, lightning delays all over town. Already hearing via Twitter and Brett Bloomquist of the El Paso Times that Pebble Hills Del Valle is delayed even further. because of lightning, so we'll head out to Adrian Broadus in just a little bit. Also, Andrus Parkland expected for a 7:45 tip. We'll head back out to Coach Jaime Chavez in just a little while, get an update. And, of course, from the Iceman, Brandon Cohn, in our game of the week, Eastlake and Canutillo. So far, Eastlake up 14-0. That in the first quarter. We'll have updates from there. Also, an exciting one, 13-12 Bel Air over Burgess. That at the end of the first quarter. We're going to take a break right now, get ready, and head back out to all of the games as all these games now get underway after lightning delays. You're listening to Football Friday Night on 600 ESPN El Paso.
You're listening to Football Friday Night on 600 ESPN El Paso. Let's go back to Beau Bagley and Paul McKinnon.
Thank you, Sal. Showing the love out there to all the reporters. We love it. Silky smooth, Sal Montez. I'm Beau Bagley alongside Paul McKinnon. Here's some updated scores for you. Right now, Americus trailing Bryan Rudder and Kerrville 44-7. Yikes. Last check, Montwood trails San Angelo Central 34-23, that in the fourth quarter. And Midland Christian leading Franklin in the fourth 37-13.
Yeah, worse than that now, 44-13. Midland Christian over Franklin.
Yikes, 44-13 Midland Christian over Franklin. Around town, Riverside and Cathedral. A little battle of unbeatens to start the season. Week 2, Riverside up on Cathedral early in this game, 21-0. Also, last check, Clint over El Paso, 6-0 in the first. Some updates, Bel Air over Burgess, 13-12 in the first quarter. Eastlake up on Canutillo, 14-0. Chapin up on Coronado, 7-0 in the first. Eastwood over Hanks, 7-0 in the first, and Horizon over Bowie, 14-0 in the first quarter. Let's head out to our reporters, starting with our Cisco Movers game of the week, Eastlake and Canutillo, and join the Iceman, Brandon Cohn. Brandon.
10:31 left here in the second quarter, 14-0 Eastlake over Canutillo. Eastlake has just been completely at a loss for what they can do offensively. It's been all Eastlake so far. They've been putting, again, relentless pressure on their quarterback, Devin Granados, who had 68 yards rushing last week in their victory at Burgess. This is a team that Eastlake, led by their running back, Elijah Uribe, again in the first quarter alone, a 36-yard touchdown pass and also a 66-yard touchdown run in that opening quarter. We have 10-10 left here in the first half at Lowenberg Stadium. It's 14-0 Eastlake over Canutillo.
And, Bo, this one from Eastwood. Hanks, you know, your top receiver, Pena, he's out. What do? Just throw the ball to the running back.
Why not?
Sam Lopez, who had a 6-yard touchdown run, put Eastwood up 7-zip. Chips in a 50-yarder through the air, 14-0 Eastwood out on top of the Hanks Knights.
A little rivalry game over there in East El Paso between Hanks and Eastwood. Longtime rivals meeting up again tonight. We'll head out to J.D. Sursley in just a little bit. First, let's head out to the best game of the night so far between Burgess and Bel Air. Let's head out to Highlander Stadium and join Joe Rodriguez. Joe Rod, take it away.
9:58 left in the second quarter, and it is Burgess leading Bel Air by the score of 20-13. A lot of offensive fireworks in this first quarter. Let's take it back 2 possessions to where the Burgess Mustangs hit a 50-yard touchdown pass from quarterback sophomore Coach Routledge's son, Andrew Routledge, to Tavares Jones on a 50-yard touchdown pass that made it 12-7. And from there, the Bel Air Highlanders on an ensuing possession went only 2 plays, a 70-yard touchdown pass from Moreno to Baxter, Christian Baxter. That was their second connection of the game. The extra point was no good to most recently. The Burgess Mustangs went 70 yards in 4 plays, a 34-yard touchdown pass. Once again, from quarterback Andrew Routledge to Adam Sierra. At that point, the Burgess Mustangs went for the 2-point conversion and converted, to which brings us to where we're at right now. The Burgess Mustangs have just crossed into Bel Air territory after the Highlanders turned the ball over on down. So with 9:50 to go in the second quarter, it is Burgess Mustangs leading the Bel Air Highlanders by the score of 20-13.
All right, Joe, thank you very much. What an exciting game there at Highlander Stadium.
And out at Conquest Stadium, Conquistadores on the board, not from the offense. Offense didn't score any points last week, haven't scored any points this week, but the special teams sure did. Pebble Hill snapped a punt back into the end zone. Devine makes the tackle in the end zone 2 points for the Conquistadores, yes, sir. And they'll get that free kick, so I'm sure they're just itching to do something with that.
Well, already 2 more points than they had in the first half last week against...
out of their offense, no doubt.
There you go. 2-0 Del Valle leading Pebble Hills early on in that game. We have an update from the SAC. Quarterback Kevin Melendez of Montwood High School hitting Oaxaca for a 17-yard touchdown pass. 2-point conversion, no good, so that cuts Central's lead to 5 with 4.5 minutes to go. Central leads Montwood 34-29.
And that's got to be at least his 4th touchdown reception of the night. Well, a terrific player. One other game out of hand, but Franklin Cougars still fighting coach's kid, Miles McWarner, one more time. 50-yard touchdown run gets Franklin back within 44-20. That's 3 scores. 147 still left in the third quarter, so...
Okay, still in the third quarter, Midland Christian over Franklin 44-20. And I'm thinking Oaxaca out of Montwood could be our Taco Avocat player of the night. I'm just saying, boy, he's playing really well tonight.
Could be. I say we make it official right now. He's in, win or lose.
Well, let's just wait. We still got a lot of game to play, all right? All right, let's head out to Steve Escajeda. Last check, Chapin was up 7-0 over Coronado. Let's head out to Thunderbird Stadium and join Steve. Steve?
We've got 4:45 to go in the first quarter, and Chapin does lead the Coronado T-Birds 6-0. Chapin scoring when quarterback Mason Sandifer hit Timothy Pastran with an 8-yard touchdown pass. We said earlier they were inside the 10-yard line. Well, on the very next play, they connected for the score. Coronado has the ball, and they just got a first down on their ensuing possession, just passing the 50-yard line. Of course, the T-Birds tonight are going without their starting senior quarterback, Tristan Escobedo. He is missing his second straight ball game this year, got injured during a scrimmage before the season started, and they've turned the ball over to sophomore starter Blake Brandag. They say he's 6-footer. He's going to be good, but again, I did say sophomore, so it's going to take him a little time to grow into this role, but we'll see how he does. He had 151 yards and a touchdown pass last week. 4:23-22 to go in the opening quarter. Chapin leading Coronado 6-0.
And Bo, I saw the Chapin quarterback stand for a week ago, a 3-year starter in a sense. You know, he looks pretty good, throws a nice ball, but the kid is a sophomore, about a month into the season, broke his collarbone, missed that season. Of course, last year was COVID. And as I said, for a guy who's a 3-year starter who really hasn't gotten the reps that he should have gotten, looks pretty darn good. The Pastran kid who got the touchdown to give him the lead tonight had a couple of really nice catches, 37-yarder to take the lead over Andrus last week, but really sensational jump ball that he went up and got. Not a tough physical kid. He's pretty angular. You don't see him coming over the middle making those kinds of tough catches, but man on man along the sidelines, you throw that thing up in the air, that kid's got a better than 50-50 shot to come down with it.
All right, very capable there. Chapin and Coronado 6-0. Chapin, the Huskies, over the Coronado T-Birds, that game in the first quarter. Another score update from a battle in Las Cruces. Oregon Mountain, formerly known as the Oñate High School, taking on Mayfield at the Field of Dreams. The Trojans lead the night 7-0 at the end of the first quarter. More action around town. Let's head out to Emperor Stadium. Horizon hosting Bowie. Last check, it was 14-0 Horizon. Let's catch up with Joey Panisi for an update. Joey.
Yes, from Horizon High School with 6 minutes and 8 seconds left in the second quarter. It's Horizon 14, Bowie 7. Bowie capitalized on a careless fumble by Horizon on their own 40-yard line. It was a double flea flicker. We got live action, and we've got Ernie Garcia with a 48-yard touchdown for Horizon, his third touchdown of the night. My goodness, every time he touches the ball, there's action. Like I say, 47 yards. Horizon was goofing around on the double flea flicker. The fumble was pounced on by Jose Trejo. Bowie connected on a 46-yard pass from Aaron Ramirez to Jedian Sanchez. And one play later, it was a touchdown. Aaron Ramirez snuck it in, so now we got Horizon with another score. They're back for the extra point. We're looking at 20-7 Horizon. The kick is up, and it's good. Okay, so the Scorpions recovered from the turnover. It's now Horizon 21, Bowie 7, with 5:57 left in the second quarter at Horizon High School.
All right, Joey, thank you very much. Breaking action over there at Emperor Stadium. Exciting game for the Horizon Scorpions so far, leading Bowie Bears 21-7. All right, let's head back out to Hanks High School in Excalibur Stadium. Last check, it was 14-0 Eastwood over Hanks. Let's get an update from J.D. Sursley. J.D.
40 seconds left in the first quarter. Eastwood up 21-7 over Hanks. Sam Lopez with a 50-yard reception touchdown along with his 6-yard run touchdown. Xavier Johnson for Hanks to answer with 75 yards. 33 seconds left. 28-7. Eastwood just scored.
All right. Hanks really having a hard time with the Eastwood Troopers right now. Eastwood scoring while JD is on the air. 28 points already in that one so far. 28-7. Eastwood over Hanks, going how much we pretty much expected that one to go. Eastwood just has a ton of firepower.
Yeah, and, we're beating it like a dead horse, belaboring the point, but the Hanks Knights are an extremely young team. Sophomores and juniors mostly, 4 seniors on that club. They lost a ton in 2020. And speaking of losing, Candy Teal's off to a great start tonight at Lowenberg Stadium. Eastlake now 21-0 on the board again. Third touchdown. Take a wild guess at who's involved. Elijah Uribe, the running back, he's thrown for 1. He ran for 1. This time he catches a 49-yard pass from Rendon, who threw 5 last week. He's thrown, just 1. Has Uribe, by the way. 21-0 now. Eastlake on top of Candy Teal.
And an update from Midland Christian. This game now into the fourth quarter. Midland Christian and Franklin. Midland Christian leads Franklin 44-20 just now into the fourth quarter.
And a final out at the SAC. 34-29 final. Woo. San Angelo Central squeaks by the Montwood Rams.
That's a tough game. Montwood trailed that one 34-23 late in the third quarter, making a game of it. Missed a 2-point conversion to make it a 3-point game. And they fall by 5. So Montwood falls to 0-2 on this season. Tough game for the Montwood Rams. A quick turnaround for Montwood, though. They'll host Burgess on Thursday. So a quick turnaround for the Montwood Rams. But I know that Ariel Famaligi, head coach of the Montwood Rams, got to be disappointed with an 0-2 start and a tough loss to San Angelo Central today. 34-29 Central over Montwood.
Yeah, but again, putting up a fight, you talk about good losses. Are there such things? I think Pebble Hills had a good loss a week ago at Odessa Permian. I guess we'll see. How do you bounce back the following week? Do you carry momentum from a game like this? A lot of times it's extra physicality that you're not even used to. It's hard to get out of bed on Saturday morning and maybe even Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday where you're not really prepped for the following week. But let's see what they do a week from now, and that'll tell you how Montwood feels about what they accomplished on the football field tonight.
Okay, we have several late kicks around town. Let's head out to Delvi High School, Conquest Stadium. A late kick there due to lightning. Last check, it was 2-0 thanks to a safety for the Delvi Conquistadors over Pebble Hills. Let's head out and reach out to Adrian Broadus for an update. Adrian.
5:10 left here in the first quarter. Delvi 5, Pebble Hills nothing. After the snap sailed over the punter's hands, Delvi was credited with a team safety to start things off. And then on Delvi's first possession, the Conquistadores had a quick-moving drive down the field, a nice 22-yard pass from Jesse Ramos to R.J. Bracamontes. Also a nice 18-yard carry by running back Christian Martinez. But the drive stalled at the Pebble Hills 20-yard line. So that's where we're at right now. A field goal by kicker Isaac Williams put Delvi up 5-0. So, again, we've got 5 minutes to go here in the opening quarter. Delvi 5, Pebble Hills nothing.
Wow, 5-0. Boy, the Delvi Conquistadors know how to play first-half defense, that's for sure. Shutout so far in 2 consecutive weeks over Coronado last week and now Pebble Hills so far. Nice start for the Delvi Conquistadors, 5-0 in the first quarter over Pebble Hills. Some excitement out at Matador Stadium. Let's head out Andress in Parkland. Let's reach out to Coach Jaime Chavez for an update. Coach.
We've got 10:57 left in the first quarter. It is Andress 7 and Parkland 0. for Andrus on the opening kickoff. Malcolm Anderson, a 98-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. The extra point was good. Malcolm gets the ball at the 2-yard line, and he goes up the middle untouched for the score for the Andrus Eagles. The extra point was good. And there was a 54-minute weather delay from this game between Andrus and Parkland, which was slated, of course, to start at 7. And they moved the starting time to 7:30, but officials decided to take a little bit more time, and thus our 54-minute weather delay. So again, for Andrus, Malcolm Anderson, a 98-yard kickoff return for a touchdown, and Parkland has the ball at their own. They've got a 4th down, a 4th and 2 at their own 35-yard line. They're in punt formation. So we've got 10:01 left in the first quarter at Matador Stadium in Northeast El Paso. Andrus 7, Parkland 0.
Thank you, Coach. Wow. Malcolm Anderson, a 98-yard kickoff return for a touchdown for the Andrus Eagles. You said Andrus and Parkland haven't played in quite some time. Boy, they're lighting up the night so far in that late kickoff.
Yeah, and second kickoff return for a score in the city tonight. Remember, Burgess's Ray Campos did the same 98-yard opening kickoff. By the way, we haven't heard from Joe Rodriguez in a while. There's probably at least 3 or 4 more good scores in that one. 19-13, I think, last we checked. Burgess Bel Air and Joe Rod out at Highlander Stadium.
Absolutely. We'll head out in just a little bit. First, our Cisco Movers game of the week. The East Lake Falcons and the Canutillo Eagles. Let's head back out to the Iceman, Brandon Cohn, for an update.
6:34 second quarter, 21-0 Eastlake over Canutillo. At the 8:35 mark of the second, Eastlake quarterback Sebastian Rondon throws a 49-yard touchdown pass to who else? Running back / wide receiver / quarterback Elijah Do-It-All Uribe. PAT was good, making the score Eastlake 21-0. Elijah Uribe 3 touchdowns in this first half. He threw one, he ran for one, and now he received a touchdown pass. Unbelievable. Falcons secondary doing an outstanding job containing Canutillo's wide receivers, allowing absolutely nothing through the air for Granado. 5 straight incompletions for the Eagles quarterback. Then at the 6:34 mark, to make matters worse, a bad snap on Canutillo's part goes over the punter's head. He leads to exceptional field position for Eastlake because the Canutillo punter has to fall on the ball. Eastlake starts at their own, at the Canutillo 30-yard line. 6:11 left, opening half. All Eastlake 21-0 over Canutillo.
Wow, Paul, 21-0 Eastlake over Canutillo. Eastlake really showing up in our Cisco Movers game of the week, really playing well tonight.
And, it's pretty much what we talked about pregame. How often does that happen? Almost never. So we said, wow, that Canutillo defense, how terrific. Held Tavares Jones to just 50 yards a week ago. What a great player he is. What a great defense they have. Oh, by the way, there was that Sean Street kid who caught 5 balls for 120 yards, a 90-yard touchdown, a couple other short touchdowns, 3 touchdown passes for the Burgess Mustangs. If the defensive backfield of Canutillo is not up to Eastlake tonight, they're going to have issues. Well, guess what? The defensive backfield of the Canutillo Eagles is not up to the passing game. And the tricks of the Eastlake Falcons, the running back Elijah Uribe, I assume off some kind of a trick, threw an option pass for a score, caught a 50-plus yard pass for a score, and Rendon, who threw 5 touchdowns last week against El Dorado, has thrown another one here tonight. The air game has just eaten the Canutillo defense alive.
And also maybe turn it around, that Eastlake defense holding El Dorado to 14 points last week, right now shutting out Canutillo at Julius and Irene Lowenberg Stadium. Eastlake defense, maybe we're not talking about them enough.
And Bo, you make a great point. Usually teams that can run the football are tough on both sides of the ball. I mean, that's what they do. All Canutillo does, and all Canutillo has done in the 20-plus years that Scott Brooks has been there, grind out the football. Usually a good quarterback who can keep the ball and make plays, and at least one stud running back there who can make plays. And that stud is L.J. Martin, ran for more than 200 yards a week ago to grind up Burgess. But that they have not been able to make those stops, as I said. Usually tough against the ground game. Eastlake's not even trying to run the football against that ground defense. They're taking advantage of what they can take advantage of. And as you said, the Eastlake defense doing the same. They've shut Canutillo completely out. You would think Canutillo would be able to run the football just like they're able to run it against everybody. So far, not so good. You make a great point.
And once again, in our Cisco Movers Game of the Week with 6 minutes to go in the first half, Eastlake over Canutillo 21-0. Now, after our show, visit 600ESPNElPaso.com for recaps, photos by Prep 1, and final scores for Football Friday Night. Make sure to subscribe to the Football Friday Night on demand for the replay of each show. Football Friday Night On Demand is available wherever you get your podcasts. We have some breaking updates from Highlander Stadium. Let's head out to Joe Rodriguez for Burgess and Bel Air. Joe Rod, take it away. What you got?
4:19 to go in the second quarter, and it is Burgess leading the Bel Air Highlanders by the score of 23-13. A 37-yard field goal attempt by Jesus Torres for the Burgess Mustangs was good, and this came after the Burgess Mustangs had a third and well over 25, not to say 30 yards, and then there was a roughing the passer called on the Bel Air Highlander defense that kept the drive alive for the Burgess Mustangs that allowed them to extend their lead. So with 4:30 to go in the second quarter, it is Burgess leading Bel Air by the score of 23-13.
Okay, Joe, thank you very much. Exciting game there. Once again, 4 minutes to go, 23-13, Burgess over Bel Air. As we take a break, we're going to have our 2-minute drill brought to you by the El Paso Association of Builders. That's next on Football Friday Night, right here on 600 ESPN El Paso.
You're listening to Football Friday Night on 600 ESPN El Paso. Let's go back to Beau Bagley and Paul McKinnon.
All right, Sal, thank you very much. Let's do a quick rundown of our games. Eastlake, Canutillo. Eastlake up on Canutillo 21-0 in the second quarter. Also in the second quarter, Andrus leads Parkland 14-0. In the second quarter, or late first, Del Valle leads Pebble Hills 11-0. Chapin over Coronado 6-0 in the first. Burgess and Bel Air, exciting one at Highlander Stadium. Burgess up on Bel Air 23-13 at last check. Eastwood all over Hanks in the second quarter 35-7. Bowie and Horizon down at Emperor Stadium. Horizon leads that one 34-7 in the second quarter. Also around town, Riverside up on Cathedral in the second quarter, 27-0. Also, last check, El Paso Clint, the latest score we have was just 6-0 Clint over El Paso. We'll try to get an update from you on that one. Late in the second quarter, Mayfield and Oregon Mountain at the Field of Dreams. Mayfield with 3 turnovers in that one. Mayfield, though, leads Oregon Mountain 7-0. And in the second quarter, up in Albuquerque, Centennial and Sandia. Centennial leads that one 21-0 over Sandia. And finals in Kerrville, Brian Rudder defeats Americus 44-7. Also, Central defeats Montwood 34-29. That's final at the SAC. And down in the Permian Basin, Midland Christian and Franklin, this one in the fourth quarter, Midland Christian leads Franklin 51-20. Now time for our 2-minute drill, brought to you by El Paso Association of Builders. Let's head out to our Cisco Movers Game of the Week and join Brandon Cohn for Eastlake Canutillo. Brandon.
3:56 left here in the second quarter. It is Eastlake 24-0 over Canutillo. Just a few seconds ago at the 4:02 mark, Eastlake kicker Julian Malucci boots a 43-yard field goal, putting the Falcons up 24-0. 3:56 to go here, opening half, and it is 24-0 in favor of Eastlake over Canutillo.
Brandon, thank you very much. 24-0 late in the first half. Let's head out to Joe Rodriguez in Highlander Stadium for Burgess and Bel Air. Joe.
1:39 left to go in the second quarter, and it is Burgess leading Bel Air by the score of 23-13 in the most recent possession. The Burgess Mustangs attempted a 41-yard field goal attempt, but the attempt by Jesus Torres was no good, and the 2-minute offense is in effect here for Bel Air as they are trying to get into Burgess Mustang territory. With 1:33 to go in the second quarter, it is Burgess leading Bel Air by the score of 23-13.
Joe, thank you very much. Let's head out to Emperor Stadium and join Joey Panisi as Horizon hosts Bowie. Joey, take it away.
Yes, from Horizon High School with 1:50 left in the second quarter. It's now Horizon 34, Bowie 7. What can I say? It's been Ernie Garcia. That's right, 4 touchdowns, Ernie Garcia carries again, and he's in the end zone again for his 5th touchdown. Ernie Garcia, this one's from only 12 yards out. So turning it back with 1:39 left to go in the second quarter from Horizon High School. It's the Scorpions getting ready to tack on 40 to Bowie 7.
Wow, Joey, your second touchdown live on the air of the night. Nice job, Joey, and welcome back. Glad to have you on the air. 40-7, Horizon over Bowie. Wow, big game there. Let's head out to Hanks Excalibur Stadium and join J.D. Sursley as Hanks is hosting Eastwood. J.D., what's the update there?
A lot to a little. Eastwood 35, Hanks 7. We're a little under 10 minutes in the second quarter, barely. Eastwood 35, Hanks 7. 2-yard touchdown recently from Jake Charnoski to make it 35-7. Under 9:48 to play in the second quarter.
Okay, JD, thank you very much. 35-7, Eastwood looking good early on in the first half there. 35-7 over the Hanks Knights. Let's head out to Adrian Broadus at Conquest Stadium and join Del Valle and Pebble Hills. Adrian, what's the update there?
It's the start of the second quarter. Still, Del Valle with an 11-0 lead against Pebble Hills. Del Valle had a nice rushing touchdown by their senior tailback. It was Christian Martinez on the carry, and that actually put Del Valle up 11-0. So again, we've got 11:52 left here in the opening half. Del Valle 11, Pebble Hills nothing.
All right, Adrian, thank you very much. Still a lot of game to play in that one. Lots of weather delays and lightning delays all over town tonight, so a lot of the games starting late tonight. And last check, Isleta and Socorro supposed to kick off about 7:30. That's looking like an 8:30 kickoff between Isleta and Socorro at the SAC. Another late kickoff between Chapin and Coronado at T-Bird Stadium. Let's join Steve Escajeda for an update from T-Bird Stadium. Steve.
We've got 6 minutes to go exactly in the second quarter, and Chapin now leads Coronado 13-0. That's at quarterback again, Mason Sandifer, keeping it in the family this time, hitting his brother Hunter Sandifer with a 16-yard touchdown pass again to make it 13-0. And Mason so far in the ball game, the quarterback for Chapin, he's 7 out of 12, 111 yards and a couple of touchdowns. 6 minutes to go here before halftime. Chapin 13, Coronado nothing.
All right, Steve, thank you very much. Big game for both teams, both looking for their first victory of the season. Chapin leading Coronado 13-0. Hey, a barn burner to kick off the game between Andress and Parkland, a 98-yard kickoff return for a touchdown for the Eagles. Let's join Coach Jaime Chavez for an update there between Andress and Parkland. Coach.
We've got 5:46 left in the first quarter. It is Andress 21, Parkland 0. Malcolm Anderson, a 98-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. And running back Malachi Du, he's got touchdown runs of 85 and 35 yards. So Andress dominating this contest here in Northeast El Paso. 5:39 left in the first quarter at Matador Stadium. It is all Andress. Andress 21, Parkland 0.
Wow, a lot of game to play there, but boy, did Andress come out hot in this one between old rivals. Haven't played in quite some time, nearly 2 decades. Andress and Parkland, 21-0 Andress over the Parkland Matadors. This 2-minute drill brought to you by the El Paso Association of Builders. Real high school football action is brought to you by Real Texas Builders. Ask your home builder if they're members of the El Paso Association of Builders, the home of Real Texas Builders, ElPasoBuilders.com. Still to come on Football Friday night right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. Lots of games going to halftime. We'll have scores from all around West Texas and the land of enchantment. You're listening to Football Friday night on 600 ESPN El Paso.
You're listening to Football Friday night on 600 ESPN El Paso. Let's go back to Beau Bagley and Paul McKinnon.
Welcome back to Football Friday night right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. Lots of scores to get through. We have an update from Lowenberg Stadium and our game of the week brought to you by Cisco Movers, Eastlake and Canutillo. Eastlake in Canutillo. The Eagles finally getting on the board here. It's now 24-7 in the second quarter. Eastlake over Canutillo. Last check, Andress over Parkland, 21-0. That in the first quarter. Del Valle and Pebble Hills. Pebble Hills getting on the board with a field goal. So Del Valle now leads Pebble Hills 11-3.
Not so fast, my friend.
Oh, we got an update.
Brandon Tellez, who had all kinds of punt returns a week ago, but no offense. Well, here's his offense. 60-yard touchdown reception as Del Valle now up 18-3. 9:39 left to play in the first half.
Ooh, big touchdown there. 18-3. Del Valle leads Pebble Hills in the first quarter. Chapin over Coronado, 13-0. That in the second quarter. Burgess over Bel Air. Burgess tacks on another touchdown in the first half. 30-13, Burgess leads Bel Air. Eastwood over Hanks. Boy, look at Eastwood. 41-7 in the first half. Also scores around town, Horizon tacking on another touchdown. They lead Bowie in the first half, 40-7. Elsewhere around town, finals from earlier today. Central defeated Montwood, 34-29. Brian Rudder defeated Americus 44-7, and Midland Christian topped Franklin 51-20. In the second quarter, Riverside leaves Cathedral 27-0. At halftime, Mountain View and Irvin over at Irvin Memorial Stadium, the Lobos of Mountain View lead the Rockets 14-13. At last check, El Paso and Clint. It's Clint leading El Paso High 6-0. And let's go to the land of enchantment. Up in Albuquerque at halftime, Centennial up big over Sandia, 21-0. Battle of Las Cruces at the Field of Dreams, Mayfield and Oregon Mountain. Mayfield leads Oregon Mountain 7-0 despite 3 Trojan turnovers. In Santa Teresa, at Desert Warrior Stadium, in a lightning delay, Santa Teresa leads Gadsden 7-0. Okay, guys, let's head out and around town back to our Cisco Movers game of the week. Eastlake and Canutillo, let's head back out to Brandon Cohn, the Iceman, for an update from Lowenberg Stadium. Brandon.
30 seconds remaining here in the opening half, and it's now Eastlake 31-7 over Canutillo. Going back to 59 seconds left here in the opening half, Canutillo finally is in business and gets into Eastlake territory at the 32 thanks to a pass interference penalty by Eastlake. The next play, quarterback Devin Granados throws a 30-yard touchdown strike, 32-yard touchdown strike to his wideout Lorenzo Adiola, making it 24-7. Then 39 seconds to go here in the half. You think, okay, Eastlake's done. Not so fast. Another shtick play from Eastlake as quarterback Rondon tosses it to wideout Anakin Antillano, who then laterals it to running back Elijah Uribe. He throws his second touchdown pass of this opening half, this time a ridiculous 67-yard touchdown to wide receiver Anthony Moreno, making the score 31-7. That's 4 touchdowns in the first half for Elijah Uribe. He's thrown 2 touchdowns. He has caught a touchdown, and he's ran 4 touchdowns. We have finally reached the half here. Eastlake 31-7, a wild first half over Canutillo.
Wow, 31-7. Just as you said, Paul. Yeah. Elijah Uribe, maybe our quarterback of the night so far as a running back.
Yeah, other action out there too. This one just headed to half. Joey Panisi lets us know that Gideon Sanchez a 38-yard touchdown reception as Bowie takes a little momentum into the locker room, but it's the palindrome game. 41 for Horizon, 14 for Bowie. Whew, that's a palindrome, right?
We'll head back out there in just a little bit. There you go. Another big game at Highlander Stadium, and let's get an update from Joe Rodriguez for Burgess at Bel Air. Joe Rod, take it away.
Halftime out here at Highlander Stadium, where the visiting Burgess Mustangs are leading the hosting Bel Air Highlanders by the score of 30-13. Obviously, the man of the night for the Burgess Mustangs, tailback Tavares Jones, has 15 carries for 117 yards. No touchdown runs, rushing touchdowns thus far this night, but he does have 1 reception touchdown for 50 yards on the night. Andrew Routledge, the junior quarterback for the Burgess Mustangs looking very solid, 11 for 17, 128 yards on his effort thus far with a couple of touchdown passes. Over on the Bel Air side, Bel Air Highlander side of things. Wow, sorry about that. Them doing what they do, pretty much a three-man show between Noah Moreno, Nicholas Chavira, and Christian Baxter. Noah Moreno has 154 yards through the air. He does have one interception on the night, doing a solid job for the Bel Air Highlanders, who are still in this game with the Big Red Pride hanging tough here in this one, a couple of scores down. I'm going to go ahead and send it back to you all in the studio with a little bit more than 14 minutes to go until we get started in the second half. But for right now, it is the Burgess Mustangs leading the Bel Air Highlanders by the score of 30-13.
All right, Joe, thank you very much. Halftime there. We finally have a halftime around town. It's exciting, all these lightning delays. Oh, they do it to us once again, don't they? But 30-13, Burgess leading Bel Air right now at halftime. The Burgess Mustangs really taking a turnaround from last week, a little 180, really finding their stride.
Yeah, they need this, and it's what we talked about. They finished up strong, had a huge fourth quarter a week ago after three pretty dismal ones against Canutillo. Came up short at the end, but do they carry something, a good feeling about themselves into week two? Yeah, I think they do. Again, it took them a little bit to get on track, but once they did, there they go.
Absolutely. Also around town at halftime, Centennial up on Sandia 21-0, Riverside up on Cathedral 27-0, and the Clint Lions lead El Paso High 20-6. That game also at halftime. This game also should be at halftime at Emperor Stadium. Let's head out to Joey Panisi and join the Bowie Bears and the Horizon Scorpions for an update from that game. Joey.
Okay, well, you just about called it right. Bowie's under the ball with 11 seconds left to go in the second quarter. The time is running out. It's the Scorpions from Horizon 48, the Bowie Bears 14. This game is just overwhelming. You're not going to believe this, guys, but Ernie got another touchdown. Ernie Garcia, he has an 80-yarder, a 70-yarder, a 49-yarder, a 57-yarder. A 57-yarder called back, an 8-yard carry, a 9-yard touchdown, and just a minute ago, he had a 66-yard touchdown right up the middle. So I don't know what else to say. Bowie put together a nice little run. Gael Varela, the backup quarterback, completed a nice 38-yard touchdown strike to Jetty and Sanchez, but Bowie's just overwhelmed at this particular point. When I get back with my halftime stats, I'm going to give some credit to the Horizon defense. That's what's been the turning point in this game, and I'll give some of these guys some credit. Back to you guys at halftime. It's the Horizon Scorpions 48, the Bowie Bears 14 from Horizon Stadium.
Oh, okay, Joey, thank you very much. Wow, Ernie Garcia, I think that was 5 touchdowns in the first half. I lost track.
Yeah, ditto.
But what a nice job so far by Ernie Garcia, Horizon, out at Emperor Stadium. What an exciting one there. Oh my gosh, 48-14, Horizon over Bowie. A lot of these games are getting into halftime. We're going to take a little bit of a break here, and we're going to have much more on Football Friday night, some halftime stats, other games going to halftime, other games maybe just starting. We're going to have all the action next on Football Friday night.
You're listening to Football Friday Night on 600 ESPN El Paso. Let's go back to Beau Bagley and Paul McKinnon.
Welcome back to Football Friday Night right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. We'll head out to our Eastlake Canutillo Cisco Movers game of the week in just a moment, and then head out for some more scoreboards here, brought to you by Longhorn Distributing, the only hot seat dealer in West Texas and southern New Mexico. Your source for cleaning equipment, service, and supplies. Longhorn Distributing, 5516 East Paisano Drive in El Paso. Some scores around town at halftime in our Cisco Movers game of the week. Eastlake leads Canutillo 31-7. In the second quarter, Andress leads Parkland 21-0. Also, I think started the second quarter now. Delvi leads Pebble Hills 18-3. This one at T-Bird Stadium, Chapin and Coronado Huskies lead the T-Birds 13-0. At halftime, Burgess over Bel Air 30-13. Also at halftime, Horizon all over Bowie 48-14. And Eastwood leads Hanks in the second quarter 47-14.
And 3 minutes left at Wildcat Stadium. Fabens up on Tornillo 13-7. I said 3 minutes left in the first half, hopefully. And that's what it is. Wildcats trying to snap whatever it is, a 7-game losing streak, 0-5 last year in 2020.
Ooh, tough. Hey, at halftime, Riverside up on Cathedral, 27-0. Also at half, Mountain View leads Irvin, kind of surprising there, by 1 point, 14-13. Also at half, Clint on top of El Paso High, 20-6. In the second quarter, up at the Field of Dreams, Mayfield, despite 3 turnovers, leads Oregon Mountain 7-0. Centennial up on Sandia, 21-0. And in a lightning delay, Santa Teresa and Gadsden at Desert Warrior Stadium, Santa Teresa leads the Gadsden Panthers 7-0. All right, let's head back out to our game of the week and join the Iceman, Brandon Cohn, for an update on Eastlake and Canutillo.
We are about 6:40 left from the third quarter here at Lowenberg Stadium, and it is Eastlake 31-7 over Canutillo here at the half. Eastlake first half stats. Look, let's face it, it's been all Elijah Uribe, the half of his life, quite frankly. 9 carries for 79 yards on the ground, including that 66-yard rushing TD. Then he had a 49-yard touchdown reception. This is all in the first quarter, my ad. 2 touchdown passes of 36 and 67 yards. So that's right, folks. 4 first-half touchdowns for Elijah Uribe, the do-it-all running back for the Eastlake Falcons. He has literally represented like 90% or more of Eastlake's offense. Quarterback Sebastian Rendon, 4 of 10, 72 yards, does have a touchdown pass as well. For Canutillo on the other side, their quarterback, Devin Granado's really been held in check. 3 of 8, 36 yards, 1 touchdown. Running back L.J. Martin, 13 carries, 63 yards. Remember, last week he had 28 carries for 215 yards at Burgess and 2 touchdowns. So they've been shutting him down. Their defensive line, their secondary, Eastlake, just been phenomenal in this first half. Also wide out Lorenzo Adiola, the only touchdown reception tonight for Canutillo. Should be an interesting second half. We'll see what Eastlake's running back Elijah Uribe has to do. We have a little more than 5 minutes left here at the half. 31-7 Eastlake over Canutillo.
All right, Brandon, thank you very much. Boy, what an offensive output by the Eastlake Falcons over the Eagles right now. Falcons flying high right now, looking very sharp at Canutillo High School. Let's head out to one underway in the second quarter between Andress and Parkland, the Northeast rivals. Let's join Jaime Chavez with an update. Coach, take it away.
8:25 left in the half. It is Andress 21 and Parkland 0. Malcolm Anderson for Andress has a 98-yard kickoff return. And Malachi Doe running strong for Andress tonight. He's got a pair of touchdown runs of 85 and 35 yards, 7 carries, 133 yards rushing for Malachi Doe. And there was a 54-minute weather delay at in Northeast El Paso at Matador Stadium, Parkland's Matador Stadium, due to a late strong rain this afternoon and a threat of lightning. Jeremiah Cooper for Andress, he's got 1 catch for 40 yards, and that was a big catch. That one set up a Doe's first touchdown run. So, 8:25 left in the half in Northeast El Paso. It is all Andress. Andress 21 and Parkland nothing.
All right, Coach, thank you very much. Boy, what we thought might be a slugfest is right now the Eagles are soaring high over the Matadors. 21-0 Andress over Parkland.
And I'd say that's kind of the overriding theme of the night. Games that looked like they were going to be good. Hey, look at what these teams did last week, and it should be a fun matchup, man. Just blowouts. I mean, Andress jumping on Parkland.
Absolutely. And now, last check, Delvi all over Pebble Hills. Let's join Adrian Broadus from Conquest Stadium. Let's get an update from this game. Adrian.
Hey, guys. With 3:18 left in the opening half, Del Valle leads Pebble Hills 18-3. Welcome back, Brandon Tejas. The Del Valle standout raced away with a 60-yard receiving touchdown. Pebble Hills has moved into Del Valle territory twice, but could not capitalize on touchdowns. Instead, they first settled for a field goal, a nice 27-yarder by Dominguez, but his second 39-yard attempt was no good. And I liked what I saw from quarterback Gael Ochoa, 77 rushing yards between him and Eric Marin on the ground for Pebble Hills, just not able to capitalize on some touchdown attempts that they've had. So, again, we've got 3:11 left here in the opening half. Del Valle 18, Pebble Hills 3.
All right, Adrian, thank you very much. Del Valle starts tough with a safety right off the bat to take a 2-0 lead. Then they find their offense, so up 18-3 over the Pebble Hills Spartans. Let's go out to Steve Escajeda at Thunderbird Stadium. Chapin and Coronado should be getting close to halftime. Steve, what's the update there?
In fact, guys, we are in the middle of halftime, and here at Thunderbird Stadium, a very unhappy Thunderbird Stadium because the Chapin Huskies are out in front of Coronado 20-0 here at the half. Recapping the scoring very quickly, Mason Sandifer, the quarterback for Chapin, a couple of touchdown passes, an 8-yarder to Timothy Pastran and a 16-yarder to his brother Hunter Sandifer. And with about a minute to go in the second quarter, Jacob Williamson ran it in from 5 yards out to make it 20-0. Individually for the Chapin Huskies, that guy Williamson, running back, 10 carries, 58 yards on the night, and that touchdown. Mason Sandifer, the quarterback, 9 out of 15, 117 yards, 2 touchdown passes. And on the receiving end, his brother Hunter Sandifer, 4 catches, 49 yards, and a touchdown. Tim Pastran, 2 catches, 44 yards, and also 1 score. For the Coronado T-Birds, there's almost nothing to report as far as any kind of offense because they've almost had none in the first half. But I will tell you one thing that's probably a good reason why they're struggling so much. They came into this ball game without their senior starting quarterback, Tristan Escobedo. So they went to the sophomore, Blake Randig, and then they made the change in the middle of the second quarter to another sophomore, Jack Baumgartner. And again, they've just struggled to move the ball all night long. Team-wise, I'll prove it right here. Chapin, 130 yards rushing to Coronado's 24. Chapin, 117 yards passing to Coronado's 15. What does that all add up to? 247 yards for Chapin, 39 total yards for Coronado at halftime. And that's where we're at. Halftime, it is Chapin on top of Coronado, 20-0.
And, Beau, I saw Chapin last week. You know what? They've had some down years, but they're a better team this year. And that's despite the fact, they don't have their Thunder and Lightning in the backfield. They have the Thunder. You heard Williamson just scored a 5-yard touchdown. But Rochelle Massey was the Lightning, and he's down with a knee. He's not playing this year. So that was a blow to them, but they move forward. And I think the good play of Standifer at quarterback, and now he's got his little brother to throw to. That's going to stead them well this season. And that's going to make it for a fun combination for new head coach Ryan Warner. Ryan really started last year in a tough COVID year, coming off after being a coordinator at Franklin High School, and he was an original on the Chapin Husky football team. He was part of that junior class when they had no seniors, and that first senior class. Chris Day, what a receiving core they had! Gaston Estorellas, Freddie Baker, the touchdown maker, one of the Costanzo brothers. I think it was David Costanzo, David and Mark. I always can't remember. I get them mixed up. I think it was Dave Costanzo. So, terrific receiving core. They not revitalized, but changed the way that offenses were running this town. Of course, Darren Walker, the head coach, and Warner now as a coach himself, trying to bring some of that back to the Chapin Huskies. I mean, he's got that Husky blood in him, so he's getting the Huskies to mush right now, right over the T-Bird. T-Bird flying high, the T-Birds of Coronado. It's now 20-0 Chapin over Coronado. Let's head out to Hanks High School and join Eastwood and Hanks and J.D. Sursley with an update from there. J.D.
A minute and 30 seconds left in the second quarter, not even at halftime. Eastwood over Hanks, 55-14. They just scored on a 68-yard bomb. with Curtis Murillo with the receiving end. I do have to note that Hanks is on their third quarterback that they've tried. Again, a minute left in the second quarter, 55-14 Eastwood.
Wow, so yikes. That's a tough one for the Hanks Knights right now. Eastwood finding their stride right now, and especially when Hanks is rotating quarterbacks like that on their third quarterback, that's always tough. So, JD, thank you very much. 55-14 Eastwood over Hanks right now, just in the second quarter.
And the Eastwood Troopers are not a team that likes to run the ball. They're a passing team, and, maybe they'll sit down some of the starters. You notice I said maybe. But, they may still be throwing it around in the second half. This 55 could get pretty ugly. I can't remember. Highest scoring game I remember, Burgess and Austin, 87-56. I sat in front of that one. It's probably been 15 years ago. I just remember Jonathan Simpson had a big game. Drew Pearson's nephew was in that one. They had an interception return. Brian Pearson for a score. 87-56. Eastwood may be eclipsing that 87 here tonight.
We'll see.
Yeah, we will see.
Between two old rivals, too, that'll put something in the Hanks Knights claw. That'll be for sure. Also remember last night, Austin defeated El Dorado 24-21, so Austin improving to 2-0. This in the third quarter, Clint now leading El Paso High 26-6, an update there. At last check, Fabens up on top of Tornillo 13-7. And Riverside leading Cathedral 27-0. All these games at half. Let's do a quick rundown. Eastlake leading Canutillo at halftime 31-7. Chapin over Coronado 20-0 at halftime. Burgess over Bel Air 30-13 at half. Eastwood over Hanks is basically just going to half right now, 55-14. And at last check, Horizon and Bowie. Horizon leading Bowie 48-14 at halftime. Ernie Garcia, 5 touchdowns so far for the Horizon Scorpions. We're going to do take a little break, get some scores for you, and come back with Football Friday Night, our second halves, next right here on 600 ESPN El Paso.
You're listening to Football Friday Night on 600 ESPN El Paso. Let's go back to Beau Bagley and Paul McKinnon.
Most games now all around at halftime. Welcome back to Football Friday Night in our Cisco Movers Game of the Week, Eastlake and Canutillo. Falcons all over Canutillo so far, 31-7, that game at halftime. Another fantastic game at Highlander Stadium between Burgess and Bel Air. So let's go out live to Joe Rodriguez for an update. Joe, what do you got?
9:44 left in the third quarter, and it is Burgess leading Bel Air by the score of 30-20. However, the Bel Air Highlanders on their opening possession to start the second half went 85 yards in 7 plays, ending with a 9-yard touchdown carry by running back Nick Chavira. The extra point on that was good, which brings us to where we're at right now with 9:24 left in the third quarter. It is Burgess leading Bel Air, who wants to get back into the fight and is in the fight by the score of 30-20.
You never count out those Bel Air Highlanders. They always seem to play tough, really tough running game, and here they are. Cut that lead to 10, 30-20.
And it's good to hear Nick Chavira's name finally. Had a good opening week, that 21-6 win over Socorro. He 97 tough yards, I think. He is their running game. They need him every week. And, when they need points now, he's shown up.
Absolutely. So Burgess up on top of Bel Air, 30-20 now. Thank you very much, Joe Rob. Let's head out to our Cisco Movers Game of the Week, Eastlake and Canutillo, and join the Iceman, Brandon Cohn, for an update. This game should be in the third quarter. Brandon.
10:06 left here in the third quarter, 31-7, Eastlake over Canutillo. Canutillo, though, marching down the field, their first possession here of the third quarter, running back L.J. Martin, a 25-yard run to get the Eagles into Falcons territory down to the 25. Currently, the Eagles at the 15-yard line, utilizing Martin virtually every play, is able to get down to the 5-yard line. 9:41 left here, third quarter. Canutillo knocking on the door, but it's still all Eastlake, 31-7. over Canutillo.
That really is all Eastlake over Canutillo right now at Lowenberg Stadium. Brandon, thank you very much. Lowenberg Stadium, I would assume, pretty quiet right now. They thought their defense might hold Eastlake, but the Falcons can really soar on offense. They're proving it tonight. 31 first half points. They lead at 31-7 start of the second quarter. At last check, Andress was on top of Parkland 21-0. Let's head out to Coach Jaime Chavez for an update from this battle between Northeast rivals, Andress and Parkland. Coach.
1:42 left in the half, and it is still Andress 21 and Parkland 0. As Parkland, they've got the ball on the Andress 20. They're knocking on the door. They just fumble the ball, and Andress is going to recover the ball. Andress at their own 17-yard line, and Parkland misses another big break, and there's a flag on the play. And let's get you the key stats here. Malachi Doe for Andress, running back, the junior running back. 2 touchdown runs of 85 and 35 yards. And he's got, tonight, he's got 9 carries, 139 yards rushing. And Malcolm Anderson for Andress, a 98 kickoff return for a touchdown. And most of the night, Andress defense, they've kept Parkland running back Isaiah Beasley in check. Beasley, 9 carries, 52 yards rushing. So 1:35 left in the half with a 54-minute delay in this game. In Northeast El Paso, at Parkland Stadium, Matador Stadium, it is Andress 21 and Parkland 0.
Coach Jaime Chavez, thank you very much. Still in the first half for that one. Once again, weather and lightning wreaking havoc all over the city. 21-0, Andress over Parkland. Still in the first half. Another slugfest between Del Valle and Pebble Hills early on. Del Valle finding some offense. Let's see if this one has changed. Let's head out to Adrian Broadus for an update of Pebble Hills and Del Valle at Conquest Stadium. Adrian.
Guys, we've got 24 seconds left here in the first half. Del Valle just scored on a 39-yard passing touchdown from their quarterback in Jesse Ramos to Eli Molina, the wide receiver for Del Valle. And this one puts the Conquistadors up 24-3 against Pebble Hills. Extra point is up, and it is good. So, again, we've got 24 seconds left here in the opening half. Del Valle up 25-3.
Wow. Paul, Del Valle rolling right now, 25-3 over Pebble Hills. I don't know if anybody would have thought that a couple years ago, but boy, Del Valle playing well.
Yeah, no, just to explain this game to me, this is Pebble Hills that was on the field with Odessa Permian last week, right?
And holding Permian in check for
up
quite some time.
9-7 at halftime. I mean, I love Del Valle. Rudy Contreras, boy, what a pleasant surprise he's turned out to be as the head coach at Del Valle. Jesse Prowl has left. You had to be, a little worried about your program. District champs last year, and obviously a solid team again this year. But, man, I didn't just see this coming. If I'm just guessing at things, maybe Pebble Hill's a little beaten down playing against the Mojo. They're as physical as they come. Maybe you're not in your best health coming into this contest. Maybe it's a letdown game. But, Del Valle is a good team coming in. But, man, they're just putting it to them. Surprise, surprise.
Absolutely. Del Valle playing well tonight. Hey, let's head out to Horizon and join Joey Panisi at Emperor Stadium for Bowie in Horizon. Get an update of the Bears and the Scorpions. Joey.
We're just underway in the third quarter with the score. The Horizon Scorpions 48, the Bowie Bears 14. Just a little bit on the halftime. My goodness. Ernie Garcia, 7 carries, 6 touchdowns. 339 yards on the ground, 436 total yards for Horizon. Jacob Quijas is the only other factor on offense. He's 6 for 7, their quarterback, for 97 yards. But like I said, I want to give some credit to the linebackers. You've got Julian Contreras. He had 10 tackles last week. He already has 16 this half. He also has 3 sacks, and that's been the story of the game. Bowie started off 9 consecutive running plays, gaining 5-6 yards per play, and then all of a sudden, Horizon started to stunt with Contreras and also Fernando Villa, the outside linebacker. He's 5'10", 195. He has 3 sacks. He also has a touchdown. He sacked, caused the fumble, picked it up, and rumbled it in 32 yards with 4 Bears hanging on his back. Well, Horizon's already driving. They're on Bowie's 40. and it's handing it back to you guys. It's 48 Scorpions, 14 Bears, with 11:20 left in the third quarter from Horizon Stadium.
And, Beau, this is just another one of those head scratchers. You know, you had a Horizon team that really got it handed to them a week ago. I think Austin stuck 25 in a row on them before Horizon even got in the contest. You got a Bowie team that, you know, battled the district champs in 2-4A. I know it's 4A, but 2-4A, pretty good district, a team that was better than Andrews a year ago. Bowie gave them everything, you know, they could handle and just barely lost that one. Horizon just hammered them. You heard Ernie Garcia, 7 carries, 339 yards. So 7 carries, 6 of those carries have ended in a touchdown. And his average for the night, 48.5 yards per carry. I mean, Horizon beating Bowie, you know, that's not a huge surprise, but the way they're just battering them based off what we saw a week ago, like I said, it's a night of head scratchers. And to me, this is just another one, the only one that makes any sense. Tells you what a crazy night we have. Eastwood 55, Hanks 14. That's exactly what I expected.
Whew, yeah, absolutely. Not a lot of close games. There was one at the SAC earlier today between Central and Montwood. Central beat Montwood 34-29, but really a lot of teams putting up points. Seen a lot of games today. Speaking of points, Clint and El Paso High. Clint coming off of a 49-17 loss to Monahans at home last week, hosting El Paso High tonight, and they lead that one 33-14. So the Lions over the Tigers at Lions Stadium in the third quarter, 33-14. Other games around the land of enchantment. Centennial leads Sandia 28-14 in the third quarter, and at halftime, Mayfield in the Battle of Las Cruces with Oregon Mountain, the Trojans lead the Knights 20-3 despite 3 turnovers from the Mayfield Trojans. Also at halftime, Fabens up top on Tornillo 22-7 at last check. Mountain View and Irvin, we had Mountain View over Irvin at halftime 14-13.
And Granados had our game of the week. Eastlake Canutillo Granados goes in from 6 yards out, a little more respectable now. Eastlake still with a comfortable 31-14 lead.
Oh, the exciting one. We'll get out to Brandon Cone in just a little bit. Let's get some other score updates. Remember earlier today, Brian Rudder defeated Americus 44-7. Central defeated Montwood 34-29, and Midland Christian defeated Franklin 51-20. And once again, that Riverside Cathedral game was at half, so 27-0 Riverside over Cathedral at halftime. Both teams 1-0.
Chapin Coronado scored just in, and guess who scored it? Of course, Chapin again. Coronado has fallen, and they can't get up. 26-0. Chapin Huskies now lead Coronado. Brian Hallman, a 59-yard touchdown pass, again from Mason Stanifer, still in the game.
All right, we're going to take a break. And we got Brandon. We got some breaking update from Lowenberg Stadium with our Iceman, Brandon Cone. Let's go out to our game of the week between Eastlake and Canutillo. Brandon, here you got an update.
7:11 left here in the third quarter. 31-14 Eastlake over Canutillo. Going back to the 9:08 mark here of the third quarter, Canutillo quarterback Devin Granados ends up calling his own number and scores on a 6-yard QB keeper, making the score Eastlake 31-14 over Canutillo. Canutillo finally able to establish a little bit of offensive rhythm here in the third quarter. We'll see if they can keep up that consistency. 7:11 left here, third quarter. Eastlake 31-14 over Canutillo.
All right, Brandon, thank you very much. Canutillo Eagles just creeping back into this one. They were down 24-0 at one point. It's now 31-14 Eastlake over Canutillo. We have a breaking update from Highlander Stadium. Let's go out to Burgess and Bel Air and join Joe Rodriguez with an update. Joe.
6:30 left in the third quarter, and it is the Bel Air Highlanders creeping back into this one, but they're still down to the Burgess Mustangs by the score of 30-26. The last possession that the Burgess Mustangs had, they win 3 and out. From there, the Bel Air Highlanders capitalized, going 68 yards in 8 plays on a touchdown drive that ended with a 15-yard a quarterback keeper by quarterback Noah Moreno. The extra point, however, was no good. It appeared to be blocked on that effort, which brings us to where we're at right now. With 6:24 left in the third quarter, Burgess Mustangs take over at their own 30-yard line. They're still leading, but not by much more, but not by a whole lot compared to where it was at the beginning of the half. So Burgess is leading Bel Air by the score of 30-26.
All right, Joe Rod, thank you very much. Bel Air with 13 unanswered points in the second half so far. It was 30-13 at halftime, now 30-26. And maybe comebacks, Paul, could be the name of the night. Listen to this from El Paso High and Clint. Clint led El Paso High 26-6. It is now 33-20. So El Paso High has cut that lead to 13. Clint leads El Paso High 33-20 in the third quarter.
And if those two teams aren't familiar with each other, at least we know the coaches are. Ray Aguilar, of course, the good job he did out at Santa Lazario. That's what landed him the El Paso job. He and Roosevelt Martinez, they've looked across the sidelines at each other a few times.
Absolutely. Clinton Sanelli, I think, distance by about 300 yards. I know, really, really close down there. A good little rivalry between Sanelli and Clinton.
I don't know if anything's within 300 yards out there. It's pretty spacious. Try looking for one of those stadiums sometime.
All right, this is Football Friday Night right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. We'll have your out-of-town scoreboard brought to you by Longhorn Distributing, and then we'll get to all of our games and updates from all around El Paso and Las Cruces. You're listening to Football Friday Night on 600 ESPN El Paso.
You're listening to Football Friday Night on 600 ESPN El Paso. Let's go back to Beau Bagley and Paul McKinnon.
Silky smooth. Sal Montez. Sal, thank you very much. Some scores from all around the night. Boy, lightning and weather wreaking havoc everywhere. So a lot of games either just at halftime or early on in the third quarter. In our Cisco Movers game of the week, Eastlake and Canutillo, Falcons lead the Eagles 31-14 in the third. At halftime, 24-0. Andress over Parkland. Jaime Chavez out there. We'll have a report in just a little bit. Last check, Del Valle led Pebble Hills 25-3. And then in the third quarter, Chapin on top of Coronado, 26-0. Burgess and Bel Air, what a barn burner here. Last check from report from Joe Rodriguez with 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. Burgess leads 30-26. No, Burgess led 30-13 at halftime, but Bel Air has had 13 straight points in the third quarter to cut that lead to 4. So Burgess leads Bel Air 30-26. At halftime, Eastwood up big over Hanks, 55-14. Also at half, last check, Horizon on top of Bowie, 48-14. Last night, we have some games, some finals. Austin over El Dorado, big win. Austin improves to 2-0 with a 24-21 win over El Dorado. Ruidoso topped Chaparral, 39-0. Earlier today, at the SAC, the early matinee kickoff, San Angelo Central topped Montwood, 34-29. A 5 p.m. Mountain Time kickoff in Kerrville did not do Americus very well. Brian Rudder defeats Americus 44-7. And in the Permian Basin, Midland Christian knocks off Franklin 51-20. Other finals, Kermit tops Anthony 31-3. In the third quarter, Centennial leads Sandia 28-14. At halftime, Mayfield leads Oregon Mountain 20-3. And in a lightning delay at last check, Santa Teresa led Gadsden 7-0. Down in Clint Lions Stadium, the El Paso High Tigers coming back in this one, trailed 26-6. But cutting the lead to 13, so Clint leads El Paso High 33-20.
Before you get away from that, Beau,
okay.
and it's internet, of course, which I never trust, but I just came across a score that says, which I can't believe, El Paso High 43, Clint 27.
Ooh, I don't know about that one.
Okay, we're talking internet.
I don't know about that one.
Well, that makes me wonder if I can trust all these other out-of-town scoreboards I'm about to read you.
My boots on the ground say it's 33-20.
Oh, much better.
In the third quarter. So Clint's still up on El Paso. We'll get an update there. And last check, Mountain View over Irvin. at halftime, 14-13. Riverside over Cathedral, 27-0 at halftime. And also Fabens leading Tornillo, 22-7. And now time for our El Paso Association of Builders and Greater El Paso Football Showcase. Let me find the right sponsor. How about the Longhorn Distributing Out-of-Town Scoreboard?
I was going to say this thing better be good after that kind of introduction. Now I'm nervous.
It's got 3 sponsors.
I do have a couple of scores here. Of course, the big ones, we always want to see what's going on in District 2-5A. What's up with the Mojo coming off? Are they having a letdown the way Pebble Hills is tonight? Well, apparently not. They get past Midway, 57-41. That game was on the road. Here's a nice game for you. The team formerly known as Midland Lee, now Midland Legacy. I'm not sure why they're still the Rebels, though. Don't you have
that one took me by surprise.
It's the Legacy Rebels now.
Okay.
Maybe if you accent Rebels differently, it turns into something different. I don't know. But the Legacy Rebels, 51-48 winners over Amarillo Tascosa. Remember, Tascosa not a 6A team anymore. They've dropped down a couple of levels. So Tascosa at Grande Communications gives Legacy all they want. 51-48, a great game. This one underway, maybe some lightning issues elsewhere, or maybe it's this same crazy internet that's giving me these El Paso high scores. But Amarillo up on Midland, 7-0. That just a first quarter score. Just got that one. Elsewhere, we dropped a 5A, Abilene Wiley. They beat Lubbock Monterey 30-22. Monterey falls to 0-2 on the season. Wiley now even at 1-1. And the one other game, Wichita Falls Rider, which of course is always a beast in Region 1 5A. They take down Independence 26-19. Actually, not a final. 26-19. Rider leads into Independence in a battle of 1-0 teams. And of course, the New Mexico scores you threw out earlier. Centennial up on Sandia, 21-0. That was some time back. And Mayfield had jumped out early on Oregon Mountain. That's another one. Oregon Mountain Knights.
The Oregon Mountain Knights.
The KNIGHTS Knights. Formerly Oñate, which was, of course was a Spanish conquistador. But if you're going to change it to Oregon Mountain, which is like a peaceful kind of team name, I would think they would have to change Knights. It can stay Knights, but you got to get rid of the K. Now it's just the NIGHTS. Oregon Mountain Knights, right?
The Black Knights.
The beautiful Oregon Mountain Knights.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. We also have an update that Centennial Sandia score. Centennial was up 28-14 in the third quarter. Mayfield up top on Oregon Mountain 20-3. This just in, Chapin scores again. So this one's turned into a blowout. Chapin up on Coronado 32-0. That game in the third quarter. Elsewhere to go, remember we got our Cisco Movers Game of the Week. We got a lot more coming back. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back to score updates. Find out all the games should be out at halftime. We're going to get updates. Next, you're listening to Football Friday Night.
You're listening to Football Friday Night on 600 ESPN El Paso. Let's go back to Beau Bagley and Paul McKinnon.
Welcome back to Football Friday Night right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. Remember, after the show, visit 600ESPNElPaso.com for recaps, photos by Prep One, and final scores for Football Friday Night. That's 600ESPNElPaso.com. Some scores around town. Let's get you an update. 33-20 Clint over El Paso. There we go. It's a microphone check.
All right, we're getting all these scores all around town. We're going to go ahead and set everything up for you with all of our reporters. And we have PMAC and Beau Bagley in studio doing what they do best. We're getting all the guys, all the scores. But I want to remind everybody, check us out on Twitter at 600 ESPN El Paso and follow around with the hashtag FFN600. That's what gives you all of the scores all around the city. And now let's send it back to these guys, Beau and PMAC.
All right, Sal, thank you very much. Some technical difficulties. We're back in the action now. Centennial leads Sandia 35-14, that in the third quarter. Mayfield on top of Oregon Mountain 26-10. And let's head out to an update from Excalibur Stadium. Let's head out to J.D. Sursley with Hanks and Eastwood. J.D., what do you got?
All right, 9:35 left in the third quarter. Eastwood 61, Hanks 20. The last touchdown by Hanks was a bizarre own recovery fumble touchdown for 74 yards. Other than that, they're living on a prayer up in Hanks. 61-20, 9:20 left in the third quarter.
Wow. Thank you, JD. Appreciate that. 61-20 Eastwood over Hanks. Wow. We have a score update from Clint's Lion Stadium. Clint now on top of El Paso High, 39-20. El Paso High was creeping back into that one, but unfortunately, it looks like Clinton's going to pull away this one in the fourth quarter. 39-20, Clint leads El Paso High.
And this score a better one than the El Paso one I tried to give you. Jefferson and San Eli. Jeff all over San Eli. 47-7, that one, 10 minutes left to play in the contest. No lightning delay out there, obviously.
47-7, Jeff over San Eli right now in the fourth quarter. Big score right there for Jefferson. Hey, other scores just from around the town. Why not a little Chihuahuas update? They're up 4-2 on the Round Rock Express. That in the fifth inning. Locomotive lead Orange County.
Update really
you got
quick.
An update?
4-4 deadlock in the top of the seventh.
Round Rock came back.
Yeah, that's what they do, those guys.
Express. Hey, but the El Paso Locomotive up 1-0 over Orange County. That's pretty exciting. And at last check, my Dodgers. My Dodgers trailing San Francisco right now, 1-0. That in the fifth. San Francisco and L.A. tied at 85-49, leading that division.
Huh? And since this is a high school football show, excuse me while I speak a little high school football. Guess who has another touchdown out at Emperor Stadium? Horizon.
The Horizon. Ernie Garcia?
What a guess. 54-20 now. Ernie G. 7 touchdown this time, a 2-yard run, 13 carries, 432 yards on the night.
Oh, my gosh.
Unofficially, of course, from our Joey Panisi, who can keep a stat.
We're going to talk about Oaxaca from Montwood, but I think it's going to be the Ernie Garcia Taco Avocado player of the night because, boy, 7 touchdowns so far over 400 yards. What a night for Ernie Garcia of the Horizon Scorpions. Hey, let's head out back to our Cisco Movers Game of the Week. Join Brandon Cohn for Eastlake and Canutillo. See if the Eagles can creep back in this one. Brandon, take it away.
Clock ticking away to end this third quarter, 12 seconds and counting. Still Eastlake 31-14 over Canutillo. With the 3:01 left in the third quarter, Eastlake running back Elijah Uribe ends up going down. A little bit of a scary moment with a left leg injury, but luckily their next possession, he is back, and he just got a nice little 7-yard scamper. The third quarter has come to an end and concluded, and it's all Eastlake, 31-14 again. I'll repeat this. Elijah Uribe, the first half of his life, absolutely phenomenal. 4 total touchdowns, including 2 passing, 1 receiving, and 1 rushing TD. That last one to end the second quarter was one of the greatest razzle-dazzle hook and ladder plays I've ever seen in my life. We are beginning the fourth quarter here at Lowenberg Stadium. Eastlake 31-14 over the Canutillo Eagles.
All right, Brandon, thank you very much. Canutillo is going to need some fourth quarter magic in this one to come back. 31-14. Eastlake leads by 17 at the start of the fourth quarter. Going to be interesting to see how that one kind of pans out and if the Eagles can fly back into this one. Speaking of the Eagles, the Andrus Eagles flying high over the Parkland Matadors, up 24-0 at halftime. This game now in the third quarter. Let's head out to Coach Jaime Chavez for an update on Andrus Parkland from Matador Stadium. Coach.
The halftime activities are winding down, and it is Andrus 24 and Parkland nothing. And just before the half ended, Andrus kicker Jonathan Rita Robles hit a 21-yard field goal, and that is his first field goal of the season. Rita Robles is, by the way, he's 10 of 10 on point-after attempts this season. But the big story for Andrus, running back Malachi Doe, 2 touchdown runs of 85 and 35 yards. He's got 9 carries, 139 yards rushing. Malcolm Anderson for Andrus, a 98-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. Anderson has 1 catch for 78 yards. And Andrus quarterback Elias Duncan, he's 7 of 10, 168 yards passing. and Jeremiah Cooper has 1 reception, 40 yards. And the Andrews defense is pitching a shutout tonight. They've created 1 turnover, and they've held their Parkland running back, Isaiah Beasley, in check. Beasley, 9 carries, 52 yards rushing. And quarterback Brian Albaran has struggled for Parkland tonight. He's 3 of 6, 25 yards passing, and he's been sacked twice. So we've got 11:55 left in the third quarter at Matador Stadium. It is Andrews 24, Parkland nothing.
All right, Coach Jaime Chavez, thank you very much. Boy, 24-0 Andrus over Parkland. None of these games today seem to be very close except one in Highlander Stadium between Burgess and Bel Air. This game going to the fourth quarter, tight one. Burgess leads Bel Air by just 4, 30-26. Hey, another close one early on. It was 2-0, but really Del Valle storming away from Pebble Hills today. Let's head out to Conquest Stadium and join Adrian Broadus for an update on Pebble Hills and Del Valle. Adrian.
Second half just getting underway here as Del Valle still leads Pebble Hills 25-3. It was 3 touchdowns, 3 big plays by Del Valle, and first off, it got started by Christian Martinez on the ground with a 73-yard rushing touchdown. Second off, it was Brandon Tejas, who had a 60-yard receiving touchdown and was capped off by a 34-yarder from quarterback Jesse Ramos to Eli Molina. And that's pretty much been the story of this one. For Pebble Hills, they've had a total of about 100 yards of total offense because of the punt the snap that sailed over for a safety for Pebble Hills. So again, we've just gotten underway here. It's second half action. Del Valle leads Pebble Hills 25-3.
All right, Adrian, thank you very much. Some late games going on tonight, and we have a late game between Isleta and Socorro kicking off a little while ago over at the SAC. Thanks to all these lightning delays. Long first halves and late kickoffs all over town.
1 through the third quarter. New Mexico, 3 quarters complete. Santa Teresa still leads Gadsden 21-14 now.
21-14, Santa Teresa over Gadsden. Hey, we have an update from Highlander Stadium. Let's head out to Joe Rodriguez for Burgess and Bel Air. Joe, take it away.
11:43 left in the ball game, and it is the Burgess Mustangs who have extended their lead over the Bel Air Highlanders by the score of 36-26. A 10-play, 72-yard drive that ended with the quarterback keeper by quarterback Andrew Routledge from 3 yards out. The extra point, once again, was no good on that, so the Bel Air Highlanders pretty much have an entire quarter to overcome a 10-point deficit here at home and get their second win of the season. They are going to start this ensuing possession from their own 10-yard line. With 11:43 left in the ball game, it is Burgess leading Bel Air by the score of 36-26.
All right, Joe, thank you very much. What a game there. Bel Air and Burgess. That game, just a 4-point game a few minutes ago in the third quarter, but now in the fourth, Burgess taking a 10-point lead.
And from a game that's in the fourth quarter to one that's just starting all the way out at the SAC, from our buddy, the coach, Tony Grijalva, still a friend of this show, looking at Isleta, just underway. Javier De La Rosa, 23-yard screen pass, and the Isleta Indians out on top. 7-0. Remember the exciting win they had a week ago. Who was it? Was it
over Clovis?
34-33 final.
On the road in New Mexico.
Tommy Ringo, the go-ahead touchdown off an interception. I think it was David Avalos the pick. Ringo punched it in, and they took a 34-27 lead into the fourth quarter. Defense made it hold up. A minute left. They still held that score. Clovis drove the field, punched in a touchdown, went for 2. Engine defense stood up, come away with a victory, and off to a similar start. Oh, by the way, Javier De La Rosa in the game. I said the 23-yard touchdown. Remember De La Rosa last season? He's the guy that went back-to-back 300-plus yard games, one against Hanks, one against Horizon. So it looks like they have a rushing attack in Isleta. He missed last week with a knee, and they still found a way to win. The aforementioned Tommy Ringo, big in his stead. But De La Rosa back on the field looking to add to his already prodigious outings of a year ago.
Absolutely. Isleta looking to start the year 2-0 with a win over Socorro tonight. Last week, Tommy Ringo, 108 yards and a touchdown. And Gavin Espino, 145 yards receiving. Quarterback Damon Contreras, very, very solid game last week against Clovis, 338 yards and 2 touchdowns.
And Espino had a kickoff return for a score as well. So that and that 61-yarder you were talking about.
Also, guys, I don't want to brag, but shout out to my cousin, Gavin Espino. He's killing it, right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
All right.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know it was your cousin. Nice job. Well, good job. So he got the athletic ability. You got the
I do it on the video game. That's where we separate, and I barely win still. So hey.
All right. Well, it's led to lead Socorro 7-0. Nice job. And cool for Sal. Getting some family involved there. Way to go. All right. Plenty of games to go. Let's head back out to Steve Escajeda and Coronado Thunderbird Stadium hosting the Chapin Huskies. Steve, take it away. What's the update there?
Well, we've got 10:05 now to go in the final quarter, and this game has really gotten out of hand now. Chapin on top of Coronado 39-0. The last 3 scorers, Mason Sandifer, a 59-yard touchdown pass to Brent Holman Jr. to make it 26-0. Then Maurice Jenkins ran it in from 3 yards out to make it 32-0. And just a little while ago, Sandifer again, a 28-yard touchdown pass to Tim Pastrin. And it's been the Mason Sandifer show tonight for Chapin. 13 out of 20 through the air, 213 yards, 4 big touchdown passes, and no INTs. And again, boy, I tell you what, it's been Coronado, if this is any indication, 375 total yards for Chapin, 70 for Coronado. 10:05 to go in this one. Chapin 39, Coronado nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
All I can say is, and it falls in the category of excuse making, the experience Coronado had coming back this year was at quarterback and running back. Tristan Escovedo, not taking any snaps yet, down with a knee. Gus DeAnder was the running back, not even on the roster anymore. So plugging in some new guys, I mean, I guess that's it, but 39-0 in this game makes no sense.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one for the T-Birds. Chapin really putting it to Coronado tonight, playing well right now and keeping the pressure on Coronado. Chapin up 39-0 in the fourth quarter. We have an update from Clint Lions Stadium. The Clint Lions and El Paso High Tigers. Tigers get another touchdown, but still trail Clint. Clint leads it 39-26, that game in the fourth quarter.
And from Lowenberg Stadium, Eastlake on the board again. Rendon, the quarterback, 5 touchdown passes last week, this time on the ground. 3-yard keeper, 10:28 left in the fourth quarter. Eastlake 37-14 over Canutillo.
37-14. Looks like Falcons are going to fly away with a win there, improved to 2-0 on the season. Lots more to come from Football Friday night as we're going to hit up Joey Panisi right now and Horizon and Bowie in Emperor Stadium. Joey, Horizon was really playing well. Are they still playing well with Ernie Garcia?
Horizon is just amazing. We've got 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and it's now the Scorpions 54, Bowie 20. Horizon accepted the kickoff to start the half, and they kept Ernie out, and they were moving the ball well, and then they had 3 consecutive holding calls. Backed him up 45 yards, and so they brought Ernie Garcia to do the punting. And so everybody in the world knew what he was going to do, but he didn't have to fool anybody because they snapped it over his head. So he picked up the ball, and he got an extra 25 yards to his total rushing. But Bowie took the ball, and 3 more unsportsmanlike penalties put him inside the 10. And then Jetty and Sanchez slanted it in for Bowie from 2 yards out with 5:48, which gave him his 3rd touchdown of the night. So he's quietly had a night of his own. Penalties, I mean, are just really strange for Horizon. I'm counting 6 unsportsmanlike, 5 holding, and poor Aaron Segala has 2 pick sixes over 60 yards in length, both of them called back for holding penalties. So I'm looking at 150 yards plus penalties for Horizon. But what a game they're playing offensively. Star quarterback Jacob Quijas is just experimenting. He just called his own number and scrambled 45 yards up to the 10-yard line of Bowie. So sending it back to you with 9:35 left in the ball game, it's Horizon 54, Bowie 20.
And all the way back out to the sack, Sally, you're going to like this one. Athleta 14-0. Another touchdown on the board. Who do you think's responsible?
Number 5?
Through the air, number 5, 23-yard touchdown reception. Gavin, cousin of Sal, Espino.
Baby G Money, there we go.
Baby G Money.
Falling from the sky, making it rain right now. Let's go.
He's a baller. 14-0 is Letta.
Oh, nice job for his let up. 14-0.
That one in the first quarter, by the way.
Wow.
Lightning delay slowed the Monwood San Angelo Central game, which was off to a terrific start. Central pulls that one out at the end, and this one kicks off. I don't know what time it was, 9 o'clock?
Absolutely. Late kicks all over the borderland in this one and the land of enchantment. Hey, want to remind you, senior football players must have their SAT, ACT results submitted by December 1st to be eligible for the Greater El Paso Football Showcase Combine and the All-Star Game. Go to 915showcase.com and our social media to see weekly top 5 performers, scores, and stats of teams, players, and more. And remember, go to 600ESPNElPaso.com for recaps, photos by Prep One, and all your final scores from tonight from Football Friday night.
And, Bo, it looks like our one close game has
not so close.
Started to spread, unfortunately. This in from our Joe Rodriguez. And, of course, Tavares Jones, he's explosive, and he exploded. 58-yard touchdown run. 10:07 left in the contest. Burgess now out to a 44-26 edge.
44-26. Remember, that was just a 30-26 game in the third quarter, so Burgess with 14 unanswered points to take an 18-point lead, up 44-26 over the Bel Air Highlanders. All right, still to come on Football Friday night, more scores as we head into the final quarter all around town. You're listening to Football Friday night on 600 ESPN El Paso. Thank you, Sal. Some updates from around the city. Eastwood and Hanks. Hanks has scored, but Eastwood still leads it 61-27. That game in the third quarter. A final from the land of enchantment. Centennial tops Sandia 42-21. And in the fourth quarter, Mayfield leads Oregon Mountain 40-10. We have an update from Highlander Stadium. Let's head out to Burgess Bel Air and join Joe Rodriguez. Joe.
9:24 left in the ball game, and it is the Burgess Mustangs still leading the Bel Air Highlanders by the score of 44-32. These two teams just traded off scores. First, it was the Burgess Mustangs that went 64 yards in only 2 plays, a 58-yard touchdown run by Tavares Jones. And then the Burgess Mustangs quickly answered on the ensuing possession. Running back Nick Chaveda told Tavares Jones, I could do the same. I could do it even better. Went 54 yards in 1 play, and the extra point was no good, which brings us to where we're at right now with 8:52 left in the ball game and a 2nd and 4 coming up for the Burgess Mustangs at their own 46-yard line. They are leading the Bel Air Highlanders by a score of 44-32.
All right, Joe, thank you very much. 44-32, what a game at Highlander Stadium. Some fun ones, a lot of points all over the city. Speaking of points, let's head out to our Game of the Week, sponsored by Cisco Movers, and join Brandon Cohn for Eastlake Canutillo. Brandon.
Tick, 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 tick. 18 seconds to go. This one is all but a formality. Eastlake could have win this one 37-14. We do now officially have a final as we're down to 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. We'll get you some final stats here in just a few minutes, but congratulations to the Eastlake Falcons to come into a very hostile environment and really just absolutely handle a very good Canutillo team with ease, winning this one by a final of 37-14. We'll be back with you in just a few minutes with some final stats here.
Sounds great, Brandon. Thank you very much. So Eastlake topping Canutillo in our Cisco Movers Game of the Week, 37-14. That game of final at Lowenberg Stadium. We'll have more as a wrap-up from Brandon Cohn in just a little bit. Let's head out to Parkland Matador Stadium. Join Coach Jaime Chavez for Andress in Parkland Matador Stadium. Coach, take it away.
And we've got 4:23 left in the third quarter. It is still Andress 24 and Parkland nothing. And the big story for Andrews tonight is running back Malachi Doe. He's got a pair of touchdown runs of 85 and 35 yards, and also 15 carries, 157 yards rushing. Malcolm Anderson for Andrews, a 98-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. Anderson, one catch for 78 yards, and also the scoring for Andrews as kicker Jonathan Reta Robles. He added a 21-yard field goal just before the half ended. Andrews quarterback Elias Duncan, some pretty good numbers tonight. He's 7 of 11, 178 yards, but 1 interception. And Jeremiah Cooper has 2 catches for 60 yards. And tonight, Parkland running back Isaiah Beasley has been kept in check. He's got 11 carries and 68 yards rushing. 4:23 left in the third quarter at Matador Stadium. It is Andrus 24, Parkland nothing.
All right, Coach, thank you very much. That game 24-0 at halftime, still 24-0. Andrus opened up the game with a 98-yard kickoff return for a touchdown, and boy, they're just kind of soaring along, playing really well on defense as well, keeping Parkland in check. All right, you have some more, Paul?
No, not at all. I was just going to say another surprise. Andrus, Parkland, these teams haven't played since 2001. Is this what you expected, Battle of the Northeast?
No, I expected Parkland really to make it really a game of it. I thought it was going to be close, but Andrus really showing their toughness out there. So Andrus up on top of Parkland, 24-0. Hey, let's head out to Adrian Broadus and Conquest Stadium for Del Valle and Pebble Hills. Let's get an update from this game. Adrian, take it away.
2:42 left in the third quarter. Del Valle all over Pebble Hills, 32-3 to begin the second half. Really nice drive by Del Valle, capped off by a 1-yard rushing touchdown down by their quarterback, Jesse Ramos. On the ensuing possession for Pebble Hills, their backup quarterback, Jacob Ledesma, throws an interception. It was Dominic Calderon who was credited with that interception. So, again, we've got 2 minutes and 37 seconds here left to go in the third quarter. Del Valle all over Pebble Hills, 32-3.
All right, Adrian, thank you very much. Once again, that game still in the third quarter. Long games. Thanks for those lightning delays. A lot going on here at Football Friday night here in the borderland between West Texas and El Paso. We have Steve Escajeda. We have Joey Panisi. We have all our reporters still out and around town. We're going to take a quick break as as games kind of finally slowing down, wrapping up. We're going to have much more on Football Friday night here on 600 ESPN El Paso.
You're listening to Football Friday night on 600 ESPN El Paso. Let's go back to Beau Bagley and Paul McKinnon.
All right, Sal, thank you very much. So much more fun to have on Football Friday night. We have some finals around town. Jefferson tops San Elizario 47-7. Clint High School tops El Paso High 39-26. That's a final. Also a final, Centennial tops Sandia 42-21. And Kermit tops Anthony 31-3. And
I was just looking at the Mountain View Irvin score. That to me, that's the big one of the moment. Looks like Mountain View with a big upset, 21-20. The final. Irvin driving all the way down, got to the Mountain View 10-yard line. No timeouts, nearly no time on the clock. Took a quarterback sack, and that's all she wrote. The Mountain View defense stepped up, came away with a big Lions win.
Wow, 21-20. Huge for the Lobos. Huge for the Mountain View Lobos. Also, last check, late in the game, Fabens leads Tornillo 29-7. Hey, we have more from our action out at Highlander Stadium. Let's head back out to Joe Rodriguez for an update on Burgess Bel-Air. Joe.
6:24 left in the ball game, and it is the Burgess Mustangs have just made it a 3-possession game by scoring with 6:24 left in the ball game, and they are now leading by the score of 50-32, a 70-yard drive that took up 8 plays, ending in a 5-yard touchdown run by tailback Jesus Torres. The extra point attempt, 2-point conversion attempt was no good, making the score 50-32. Tavares Jones seems to be done for the night as Torres took over the ball carrier responsibilities on that last offensive possession for the Burgess Mustangs. The Bel Air Highlanders are taking possession of the ball at their own 25-yard line with 6:24 left in the ball game. It is Burgess leading Bel Air by the score of 50-32.
Wow, 6 minutes to go, fourth quarter, 50 points from the Burgess Mustangs. What an offensive output there. Hey, an update from the Field of Dreams. Mayfield scored again. They now lead Oregon Mountain 47-10. Let's head back out to our Cisco Movers game of the week for a wrap-up as Eastlake topped Canutillo 37-14. Let's join Brandon Cohn for the wrap-up. Brandon.
It's a final here from Eastlake, 37-14. Eastlake defeats Canutillo here on El Paso's west side. Eastlake moves to 2-0 on the season. Next, they will host Parkland on September 10th. Quarterback Sebastian Rendon, 9 of 18, 159 yards, 2 touchdowns. Story of the night, though, and one of the greatest first halves you will ever see in your life out of a slash player, a running back, wide receiver, quarterback, Elijah Uribe. Get this, as a quarterback, he went 2 of 2 for 103 yards, 2 touchdown passes of 36 and 67 yards, including that nifty hook and lateral play to conclude the second quarter. Then he also had 18 carries, 124 yards on the ground, 1 rushing TD, and a 49-yard touchdown reception. Also, their wideout, Anthony Moreno, 3 receptions, 124 yards, 1 TD there. Canutillo now 1-1 on the season. Next, they will be at Chapin on the 10th of September. Quarterback Devin Granado, 3 of 10, 36 yards, an interception, also a TD, 28 rushing yards on 6 carries. Running back L.J. Martin had 23 carries for 113 yards. And wideout Lorenzo Audiola, a touchdown as well. So it's a final, very impressive start on this young season for Eastlake. They moved to 2-0 on the year. Eastlake 37, Canutillo 14.
All right, Brandon, thank you very much. And once again, what an exciting game next week. The Eastlake Falcons will host the Parkland Matadors, a 4:30 kickoff at the Student Activities Complex. But Eastlake, the way they're playing right now, may be one of the top, if not the top team in the city. So, Brandon, thank you very much. Let's head out to Matador Stadium, Parkland and Andress. Let's join Coach Jaime Chavez with an update from this game. Coach.
11:56 left in the fourth quarter. It is Andress 24 and Parkland nothing. Parkland just had a chance to put some points on the board on a 4th and 9. New quarterback for Parkland, Joseph Mijares. He fired a pass. It was Damian Crest Daniels was in the end zone momentarily, but the ball was broken up by one of Andress's defensive backs. That was Ryan Gonzalez there on the coverage. And now the score remains 24-0 as Parkland failed to get on the board, and now Andress is deep in their own territory. And the big story for Andress tonight is Maliki Doe, the running back. He's got a pair of touchdown runs of 80 and 35 yards, and he's 17 carries, 166 yards on the ground. Malcolm Anderson, a 98-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. And Elias Duncan, quarterback, he's 7 of 10, 168 yards, 1 interception. Kicker Jonathan Reta Robles had a 21-yard field goal in the second quarter to round out the scoring for the Andress Eagles. And with this game, there was a 54-minute delay. This was slated to start at 7, but a strong rain hit this area just after 5:30. There was also a threat of lightning, so thus the late start here. And we've got 11:27 left in the fourth quarter at Matador Stadium. It is still Andress 24 and Parkland nothing.
All right, Coach, thank you very much. 24-0 Andress over Parkland. Boy, what an output from Andress tonight. Big lead there over their Northeast rivals. Another big game, Pebble Hills at Del Valle. This another late kickoff. This should be about in the fourth quarter. Let's get an update from just a little bit low. We got an update from Joe Rodriguez in Highlander Stadium. Burgess and Bel Air. Burgess was up 50-32 just moments ago. Boy, Burgess is really putting on a lot of points. 20 points in the second half so far. Let's get an update from Joe Rod with Burgess and Bel Air. Joe.
4:55 left in the ball game, and it is the Burgess Mustangs leading the Bel Air Highlanders by the score of 50-38. the Bel Air Highlanders, on their most recent possession, went two plays, 75 yards, a 72-yard touchdown run by Nick Chavira. Brings us to where we're at right now. The two-point conversion was no good, but just so you know, Nick Chavira, so far tonight on the night, has 33 carries for 201 yards. Talk about a workhorse. And right now, as I'm bringing you this update, the Burgess Mustangs got called for a false start, so they're second and more than 10 at their own 32-yard line. The Bel Air Highlanders need to stop, and it'll be 3rd and 9 coming up with 4:30 left in the ball game. It is the Burgess Mustangs leading the Bel Air Highlanders by the score of 50-38.
Okay, thank you very much, Joe. Wow, what a 50-38. An offensive showdown there at Highlander Stadium. I don't know if we ever would have thought that game, but 50-38, almost 100 points out there. We're getting closer. The way this one's going, maybe we'll top 100 points.
And what about that Burgess defense, Bo? 2 weeks in a row, 2 200-yard contests. L.J. Martin a week ago, and now Angel Chavira tonight.
That's huge. That's huge. Hey, let's head out to another big one. Pebble Hills and Del Valle at Conquest Stadium. Let's pick it up with Adrian Broadus for an update. Adrian.
11:26 left in the game as Del Valle leads Pebble Hills 32-10. The Spartans got on the board by a nice drive. It was actually started because they blocked a punt for against Del Valle, and Pebble Hills recovered inside the Del Valle 30. They were able to score on a 4-yard rushing touchdown by Jacob Ledesma. So again, with 11:26 left in this one, Del Valle up 32-10 against Pebble Hills.
Okay, Adrian, thank you very much. Boy, lots of blowouts tonight. A lot of big games. Not very many close games tonight.
Yeah, speaking of, you say blowouts, I say Riverside Cathedral.
Ooh.
All final out there at RRR Jones Stadium. Riverside all over the Cathedral fighting Irish. And the battle of unbeatens coming into tonight, 54-7 the final. The 4A runners-up from a year ago, 1 4A runners-up Riverside. Only a 14-7 loss to Clint. Kept them from a district title. I think they want that title this year. And they hammer the Fighting Irish.
54-7 Riverside over Cathedral. You want an update? Talk about hammering. Yikes. What about old rivals? Maybe Eastwood has not forgotten about that old rivalry. Eastwood now has 75 on Hanks. 75-27. Eastwood over Hanks, about 9 minutes to go still in the fourth quarter, if you can believe that. 75-27, Hanks over Eastwood, or Eastwood over Hanks in the fourth quarter.
Shooting for triple digits, and oh, by the way, out at Bel Air Highlander Stadium, Burgess Mustangs go for no score this time, but 3 and out. They're going to have to kick the ball back to the Highlanders. Chavarria just went 75 yards in one play, so 2 scores down, 12 points. And Bel Air about to get their hands back on the football.
Amazing. Amazing how this one's going. Hey, let's head out to a wrap-up from, should be close to finishing for Chapin and Coronado. Last check, it was 39-0 Chapin. The Huskies over the T-Birds. Let's catch up with Steve Escajeda for an update. Steve.
Thanks a lot, guys. Well, another blowout here. It's over on the west side of El Paso. Chapin Huskies all over Coronado 39-7. Coronado did score. 2 minutes left in the ball game. Kate Little scoring on a 24-yard run to at least get the T-Birds on the scoreboard. Chapin improves to 1-1 with the victory. They were led on individually by Jacob Williamson. 13 carries tonight, 65 yards on the ground and a touchdown. Their quarterback, Mason Sandifer, big ball game tonight. 13 out of 20 through the air, 213 yards, 4 touchdowns. Only also carried the ball 7 times for another 58 yards. His 2 favorite receivers were his brother, Hunter Sandifer, 6 catches, 58 yards and a score. And then Tim Pastron, 3 catches, 72 yards, and he had 2 touchdown receptions. For the Coronado T-Birds, it folded 0-2 on the season. They were led on the ground by Kate Little, came in the fourth quarter, carried the ball 5 times for 42 yards and that touchdown. Coronado ended up using 3 different sophomore quarterbacks in this ball game. All I'm going to say is they all 3 combined to go 3 for 11 for 18 yards. So Coronado really struggling there. Total yards tonight, Chapin really balanced, 194 rushing, 218 passing, 412 total to Coronado's
114. For Chapin, again, they win. They improved to 1-1. They're going to be at home next week. They're going to take on Canantillo, while the Coronado T-Birds, if fall to 0-2, are going to travel to Carlsbad to take on the Cavemen. It's all over here on the west side. The Chapin Huskies all over the Coronado T-Birds, 39-7.
And, Bo, that's a huge win for the Chapin Huskies, the kind they haven't had in several years. And for the Coronado Thunderbirds, they've scored 7 points each of the last 2 weeks, 2 touchdowns total, both scored by Cade Little. 20-yard run you heard in mop-up time tonight, and something similar last week, 66-yard touchdown reception to get them on the board in another easy loss.
It's a tough one for Coronado to start the season, and life doesn't get easier. You go on the road next week, Coronado at Carlsbad, as Steve was just saying. Boy, life gets tough. Not easy.
Might be time to bring in the faith healer. Put your hands on Tristan Escobedo's knee and see if we can get him back on the field.
Well, this one should be over, close to being over. It's Scorpions Emperor Stadium, the Horizon Scorpions and the Bowie Bears. Let's catch up with Joey Panisi. Joey.
Yes, from Horizon Stadium, the ball game is over. Final score, the Horizon Scorpions 54, the Bowie Bears 20. Paul, I think you mentioned earlier in the show that last week Ernie Garcia didn't show much against Fort Stockton. He had 9 carries, 35 yards. He did score a touchdown. Who could have ever expected the night that he had tonight? Quickly, 13 carries, 432 yards for Ernie Garcia. He had an 80-yard, 70-yard, 49-yard, 57-yard. Then he had another 57-yarder called back. Then he had a 9-yarder, a 66-yarder, and then he had his helmet pulled off at the goal line. So they penalized Bowie, and they gave him the ball on the next carry, and he capped it off with a 3-yard touchdown. So what a night for him. We'll have to check the record books. First down-wise, Bowie won, believe it or not. 16 first downs to Horizon's 14. Total rushing yards for Horizon, 562, passing 97. Bowie rushed for 87 and passed for 112. Little Jetty and Sanchez from Bowie had a good night. I mentioned earlier he had 2 touchdown running, a 1-yarder and a 2-yarder, and then he caught a pass for a 38-yard touchdown. So that sums it up. Next week, Bowie is hosting Hanks, so that'll be a good test for them. And Horizon heads to Fort Stockton, which will be a good test for them because they handled Bowie last week, and we'll see how Horizon can do with them. So turning it back to you guys, the lights are going out here at Horizon. Final score, Horizon 54, Bowie 20.
All right, Joey, thank you very much. Yep, it's a late night all over the borderlands, so thank you very much out there. Looks like the hardest working person tonight might have been Ernie Garcia from Horizon. Boy, did he put it out there. What a nice job by the Horizon Scorpions over the Bowie Bears. 54-20 the final. An update from Eastwood Hanks. Hanks trailing Eastwood 75-24. We have some finals. Gadsden falls to Santa Teresa 28-14. Mayfield over Oregon Mountain 47-10. Once again, Clint over El Paso High 39-26. Mountain View over Irvin 21-20. Wow. Jefferson over Sanelli 47-7. And right now, in the first half, this was a very, very late start. The late game at the SAC Isleta leads Socorro 14-8. And at last check.
I have an update on that one. Actually, a 14-14 deadlock. Let me check and see with the PAT. And PAT no good, so it's a deadlock at 14-14.
14-14. Silky smooth. Sal Montes with the update. Nice job, Sal. Thank you very much.
Second quarter as well.
Second quarter, 14-all between Isleta and Socorro. Fabens at last check, leading Tornillo 29-7, waiting for the final there. We're going to do a quick break, then come back. We still have games at Parkland, a game at Del Valle, and a game at Hanks. We're going to have those updates next. You're listening to Football Friday Night on 600 ESPN El Paso.
You're listening to Football Friday Night on 600 ESPN El Paso. Let's go back to Beau Bagley and Paul McKinnon.
Thank you very much, Sal. Welcome back You're listening to the most comprehensive high school football show in the borderland, Football Friday Night, right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. For an update, we still got a couple games, big games, still in action. Let's go out to Highlander Stadium and join Joe Rodriguez for Burgess and Bel Air. Joe, take it away.
And we have just gone final out here at Highlander Stadium on the campus of Bel Air High School, where the visiting Burgess Mustangs have picked up their first win of the 2021 season by defeating the Bel Air Highlanders by the score of 56-38. I'll be coming back to you shortly here because there is an abundance of offensive stats that we have to calculate here. Just off the top, I can tell you that Tavares Jones did go 20 carries for 184 yards and 2 touchdowns. Quarterback Andrew Routledge also had quite a game, 17 for 27, 241 yards. But like I said, I'll call you back in a few minutes with my roundup and all of these offensive stats because both of these teams went off offensively tonight out here in the Ranchland neighborhood of El Paso, Texas. So final score out here from Highlander Stadium, it is Burgess picking up the first win of the season by defeating the Bel Air Highlanders by the score of 56-38.
All right, Joe, thank you very much. 56-38, Burgess victorious over Bel Air. And I hear Aaron Jones was at the game, the former Burgess Mustang, UTEP Miner, now current Green Bay Packer. That's got to make a certain Jones running back anxious to perform well, and that's Tavares Jones.
Yeah, I was going to say, pressure coming in. You only had 50 yards last week in a loss, and everybody's saying, what, Tavares? And then all of a sudden, Aaron Jones is sitting out there, and we know Aaron Jones never had any 50-yard nights. First start he ever had, he went for 300-plus against Irvin. That was his junior year. A lot of folks don't realize that, he was a slot back. First, I don't know how we got off on an Aaron Jones tangent, but first time I saw Aaron Jones in a game his junior year against Austin, he was a slot back. They ran a jet sweep. He took it for a touchdown. They threw him a pass. He scored a touchdown on that, and he returned 4 punts, each of them for more than 40 yards, but never scored a touchdown on any of them. So he was not the focus. I can't remember if it was the Razor Kid or someone else. But as I said, first time he got plugged in, final month went for 300-plus. And then in the playoffs, an OT game against Horizon where he just was nuts. And, of course, he's senior year. Aside from the Chapin game that he missed with a knee, he was just off the chain.
Absolutely. Well, Tavares Jones playing like a Jones brother tonight, 56-38. Burgess victorious over Bel Air. Hey, we still have action over at Matador Stadium between Andress and Parkland, the Northeast rivalry matchup. Let's join Coach Jaime Chavez with an update. Coach.
Good. 5:09 left in the fourth quarter, and Parkland finally gets on the board. It's Andress 24 and Parkland 6. Isaiah Beasley, running back for Parkland, he had a 1-yard touchdown run, but the point after attempt was blocked, and that one capped a 10-play, 85-yard drive for the Parkland Matadors. Isaiah Beasley trying to pick up the slack for Parkland, 14 carries, 77 yards rushing, and a 1-yard touchdown run. But for Andress, it's been Malachi Doe running strong tonight, 18 carries, 168 yards, and touchdown runs of 85 and 35 yards. And also Malcolm Anderson, a 98 kickoff return for a touchdown for Andress. Jonathan Reta Robles, a 21-yard field goal for the Andress Eagles. We have 5:09 left in the fourth quarter at Matador Stadium. It's Andress 24, Parkland 6.
All right, Coach, thank you very much. Matadors finally get on the board. Now, they're also holding Andress scoreless in the second half. Remember, Andress was up 24-0 at halftime. Andress has not scored in the second half. 5 minutes to go, 24-6, Eagles over the Matadors. Still action over at Conquest Stadium. This game has got to be close to be wrapping up. Pebble Hills against Del Valle. Let's tune in to Adrian Broadus for an update. Adrian.
We've got 6 minutes, 54 seconds to go here in this one. Del Valle just scored on a 50-yard rushing touchdown by their running back, Christian Martinez. They put them up 44-17 against Pebble Hills. Just a drive ago, Pebble Hills marched down the field, and quarterback Gail Ochoa capped off the drive with a 2-yard rushing touchdown. He's approaching 100 yards on the ground, but Del Valle responds quickly with a 50-yard rushing score by Christian Martinez, and the extra point is good as well. So with 6:54 left in this one, Del Valle 45, Pebble Hill 17.
Wow, 45-17. Del Valle really putting up some scores today as they're hosting Pebble Hills. Nice job by Del Valle so far. We also have an update from the SAC. Isleta and Socorro now at halftime, tied at 14. Isleta took a 14-0 lead, but here comes Socorro. Isaiah Edgerton with a touchdown run. Thanks to Salamontes for that update. Socorro ties the game at 14 right before halftime, so it should be a very interesting second half. We're going to take a quick break as we join Coach Jaime Chavez and Adrian Broadus for wrap-ups of those games. You're listening to Football Friday Night on 600 ESPN El Paso.
You're listening to Football Friday Night on 600 ESPN El Paso. Let's go back to Beau Bagley and Paul McKinnon.
Thank you, Sal. Welcome back to Football Friday Night. We have some final scores all over the borderland. Let's run down those scores right now. In our Cisco Movers Game of the Week, Eastlake tops Canutillo 37-14. Chapin all over Coronado. This is a final 39-7. Also final Burgess over Bel Air 56-38. We'll head out to Joe Rodriguez for wrap up in just a moment. Eastwood on top of Hanks, over 100 points in this one. Eastwood wins it 75-27. Horizon tops Bowie 54-20. Earlier today, San Angelo Central tops Montwood 34-29. Midland Christian beats Franklin 51-20. Brian Rudder all over Americus and Kerrville 44-7. This is a final at Jones Stadium. Riverside over Cathedral 54-7. Jefferson over Sanelli 47-7. Mountain View tops Irvin, kind of a shocker by 1 point. 21-20 Mountain View over Irvin. Clint High tops El Paso High 39-26. Mayfield tops Oregon Mountain 47-10. Gadsden and Santa Teresa, well, the Desert Warriors top the Panthers 28-14. Kermit tops Anthony 31-3. Centennial tops Sandia up in Albuquerque 42-21. And Fabens, a huge win over Tornillo 60-7. Fabens Wildcats over the Coyotes.
Out-of-town scoreboard, Odessa Permian stays undefeated, beats Midway 57-41. Midland Lee, now Midland Legacy. They hold off Tascosa 51-48. Friendship all over Clovis, 35-zip was the last score we had on that. Abilene Cooper, a big win in the Battle of the Abilines, 31-14. They get their first win of the season over Abilene High. Amarillo Midland was a 7-zip. Odessa beats Del Rio 49-0 as they get their first win in as a 2-6A ball club. Well, for this season anyway. Elsewhere, here's a big one. Battle of the Lubbocks, the Titans of Lubbock. Lubbock Cooper and Lubbock Coronado. Of course, Cooper, they always find a way to come through, and they do again tonight. 28-7, they take down Lubbock Coronado. Abilene Wiley, 30-22 over Monterey. Woo, a real shootout. Palo Duro and Plainview. Amarillo Palo Duro, 64, Plainview 41. Elsewhere, Wichita Falls Rider, they beat Independence 32-19. And in the Battle of Denton, Geyer holds off 14-7. Denton Geyer over Denton Ryan. And those are some bad boys right there.
I'm putting my money on Denton in that one. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Halftime is Isleta and Socorro. Late game at the SAC. Tied at 14. Socorro with 14 unanswered points. Hey, let's put a bow on the Burgess Bel Air game from Highlander Stadium. Let's head back out to Joe Rodriguez for a recap of this barn burner. Joe.
Thank you very much, Bo. All done out here at Highlander Stadium on the campus of Bel Air High School, where the Burgess Mustangs defeated the Bel Air Highlanders by a score of 56-38 in what was an offensive shootout right up until the very end out here, which gives the Burgess Mustangs their first win of the season, and they will now move to visit Montwood next weekend. Meanwhile, the Bel Air Highlanders are also on the road facing Jefferson. But let's get to some offensive stats for the Burgess Mustangs. They had 18 first downs the entire game. They ran the ball 33 times for 258 yards. Quarterback Andrew Routledge went 17 for 27, 241 yards, a grand total of 499 yards for the Burgess Mustangs. They had 5 penalties for 45 yards. Tavares Jones, their star running back, 20 carries, 184 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the night, while Andrew Routledge, like I said, he went for 241 yards, 3 touchdown passes. But hey, the Bel Air Highlanders, they weren't too shabby themselves on offense. They had 1 more first down than did the Burgess Mustangs with 19. They ran the ball 38 times, 215 yards for the Bel Air Highlanders, while Noah, quarterback for the Burgess Mustangs, Noah Moreno went 19 for 38. He did have 1 pick, 280 yards, 495 yards of offense for the Bel Air Highlanders, only 4 shy of what the Burgess Mustangs had. They did, get this, have 12 penalties for 110 yards. Chavira, the workhorse for the Bel Air Highlanders, he had 35 carries. That's right, 35 carries, 201 yards, 3 touchdowns. Meanwhile, their quarterback, Noah Moreno, he wasn't too shabby himself. He did have 2 touchdown passes and a rushing touchdown for his efforts tonight. And that'll be it from out here at Bel Air Highlander Stadium, where the Burgess Mustangs have defeated the home team, the Bel Air Highlanders, by the score of 56-38.
All right, Joe, thank you very much. In the battle of 100-point games, I'm sorry, J.D. Sursley tops you with his 100-point game over at Excalibur Stadium. Joe, you're awfully close at 56-38, but J.D. says, sorry, no taco avocado for you. So, but great job, Joe. 56-38 Burgess over Bel Air. Another exciting game. We hear there's an update from Parkland. We'll get out there in just a moment. First, let's head out to Conquest Stadium and join Adrian Broadus for an update with Pebble Hills and Del Valle.
Under 3 minutes to go in this game. Del Valle 45, Pebble Hills 24. Another rushing touchdown by Gael Ochoa for the Pebble Hills Spartans. He now has 2 rushing touchdowns in this one. Running back for Del Valle, Christian Martinez, 19 carries, 235 on the ground, and a pair of rushing touchdowns, including that 73-yard rushing touchdown that he had earlier today. So again, we've got just under 3 minutes to go. Del Valle 45, Pebble Hills 24.
All right, Adrian, thank you very much. We'll probably get one more wrap-up from you, but looks like Del Valle is going to be victorious in this one. A big win over Pebble Hills after a big win over Coronado last week. So Del Valle could be improving to 2-0. Hey, let's head out to Matador Stadium. Join the Andress Eagles and Parkland Matadors with Coach Jaime Chavez. Coach, what's the update there?
We've got 28 seconds left in the fourth quarter. It is Andress 24, Parkland 12. Parkland gets on the board again as Isaiah Beasley breaks a 19-yard touchdown run, and the 2-point conversion has failed. It's just too little too late for Parkland as Beasley gets the ball. He started that was a 1st and 10 at the 31. He gets about 6 yards on that one, and the clock is stopped at 20 seconds, but there goes the clock, and Beasley gets the ball once again. He breaks into the secondary at the 40, down to about the 35-yard line, and here comes the penalty. We've got 11 seconds left in the contest. Andress is up 24-12, and Parkland in desperation mode. But Andress has done a lot of damage tonight on the ground, especially with Malachi Doe, with a pair of touchdowns of 85 and 35 yards. And he had 20 carries, 169 yards rushing. Malcolm Anderson, a 98-yard kickoff return for Andress. And also for Andress, kicker Jonathan Reta Robles, a 21-yard field goal. And here's a late flag, a late hit by Andress. And this is going to move the ball to the 21-yard line, the Andress 21-yard line. And maybe for cosmetic purposes, Parkland will try to get another score. As Jose Mijares, the backup, he rolls to his right, and he hits his wide receiver, That's Demarion Crest Daniels. That's an 8-yard gain that he takes the ball down to about, let's see where the officials mark the ball. They're going to mark it at about the 12-yard line. And there's 3.7 seconds left. And Parkland trying to get perhaps another score on the board as Mijares goes to his right. The ball is incomplete. And the clock stops at 2.8 seconds. So this should end it right here, depending on what Parkland calls and depending on what the Andrus defense does. The Andrus they've been sharp all night defensively, but they've allowed 2 Isaiah Beasley touchdowns in the last 6 minutes. The final play with Mijares in the shotgun, again going over the middle. He's got a receiver, and touchdown, a 2-yard touchdown to Demarion Crest Daniels. Daniels took the ball out of Ryan Gonzalez. Gonzalez has been covering Crest Daniels all night. So with no time left on the clock, the score is now Andrus 24 and Parkland 18. The 2-point conversion is pending in the pistol formation, and he hands the ball off behind us to Beasley. And is he in? No. He stopped at the 1-yard line for the 2-point conversion. And then one official raises, you're giving it to him. Yes. The 2-point conversion is good. It looks like he was stopped at the 1-yard line, but one official came and gave allowed it. So the final here is Andrus 24 and Parkland 20, and it's quite a matchup. It's Parkland coming to life late in this contest. Now Andrus goes to 2-0, and they'll host Franklin next week. Parkland 0-2 on the season. They've got another tough one. They'll take on Eastlake in a 4 o'clock matchup next Friday at the SAC. So the final from Matador Stadium in Northeast El Paso. Andrus 24, Parkland 20.
All right, Coach, thank you very much. Big win for the Andrus Eagles over the Parkland Matadors. 24-20, Andrus defeats Parkland in a battle of Northeast rivals. We're going to take a quick break, have a quick then check on to Adrian Broadus for the game at Pebble Hills and Devine, and we'll be back Football Friday night right here on 600 ESPN El Paso.
You're listening to Football Friday Night on 600 ESPN El Paso. Let's go back to Beau Bagley and Paul McKinnon.
All right, Sal, thank you very much as we wrap up Football Friday Night right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. One game still going on, and I'm hearing that they're kneeling down at Conquest Stadium. Let's head out to Adrian Broadus for Delvi hosting Pebble Hills, and this game should be over. Adrian, take it away.
That's right. It is a final out here as Del Valle takes home a 45-31 victory over the Pebble Hills Spartans. It was quarterback Jesse Ramos who had 4 total touchdowns today for Del Valle, 2 through the air, 2 on the ground. Running back Christian Martinez, he is a monster. 2 touchdowns on the ground, 235-plus. For Del Valle on the ground. Nice day for Gael Ochoa. He had a pair of rushing touchdowns as well for the Spartans, but they pretty much scored their touchdowns trying to play catch-up in this game. So, again, Del Valle improves to 2-0 on the season. They'll host Americas next week, while El Dorado and Pebble Hills will do battle next week. Pebble Hills winless on the season, 0-2 overall. So it's a final out here, Del Valle 45, Pebble Hills 31.
All right, Adrian, great job. Thank you very much. Remember, a lot of these games were delayed due to weather and lightning delays, so late nights for everybody. So, Adrian, thank you very much. Let's do a quick rundown of all of our scores. Our Cisco Movers Game of the Week. Eastlake tops Canutillo 37-14. Andrus and Parkland, a closer one than it really would appears. Andrus was up 24-0. Eagles win it 24-20 over the Matadors. Del Valle tops Pebble Hills 45-31. Chapin tops Coronado 39-7. Burgess over Bel Air in a shootout 56-38. Eastwood over Hanks, they both top 100 in this game. Eastwood 75, Hanks 27. Horizon tops Bowie 54-20 behind 7 touchdowns from Ernie Garcia. Also in other action, Montwood falls to San Angelo Central 34-29. Franklin falls to Midland Christian 51-20. Brian Rudder all over Americus 44-7. Riverside tops Cathedral 54-7. Jefferson all over Sanelli 47-7. Mountain View beats Irvin by 1. The Lobos top the Rockets 21-20. Clint tops El Paso High 39-26. Mayfield all over Oregon Mountain 47-10. Santa Teresa beats Gadsden 28-14. Tornillo and Fabens, Fabens puts up 60. The Wildcats top the Coyotes 60-7. Centennial tops Sandia 42-21. And at last check, we have Isleta and Socorro. That game at halftime, the last score there was tied at 14. So that game going into the second half, late game over the Sac.
Yeah, third quarter just started.
All right, let's take a look at next week, the big games right now. You go first look at, how about Riverside and Isleta? If Isleta can be victorious tonight over Socorro, they get a win. Both Riverside and Isleta, old Lower Valley rivals right there, both could be 2-0.
And they're so close to each other, they probably can't stand looking at the,
no,
the other.
That's exactly how it goes.
I don't know. Does it go back to the time that Tom Work took the Isleta job for about a minute and a half and then went back to Riverside?
Maybe when he saw two areas championships right there at Riverside. So, hey, why not? When you got Sean Jordan as a fullback, yeah, I'm going to go back to Riverside.
Make you stick around, right?
Hey, some interesting games here. You look at Franklin and Andress and Americus and Delvi. Both Franklin and Americus still looking for their first win. Both are 0-2, but taking on undefeated teams. Franklin at Andress 2-0, and Americus at Delvi 2-0. Could Delvi and Andress, maybe those might be considered upsets?
I can't.
That's a stretch.
I'm just telling you, man. Andress looked pretty good today. Of all the names we kept hearing tonight from our reports, we didn't hear Jeremiah Cooper at all. You know why? Because they didn't need him. A week ago, they needed him, and Jeremiah Cooper was all over the place. Tonight, they didn't need him in a big matchup against Parkland. Parkland, a perennial power. Andress is bringing it. Franklin, they've been playing tough competition. Did again tonight, and really, really got stepped on. But maybe now getting back to El Paso.
Interested to see how Americus responds after two tough defeats. Delvi put up 45 tonight over on Pebble Hills. Should be an interesting one. And maybe the top team in the city, Eastwood Troopers. They traveled down to Smithson Valley. That should be a very interesting game on the road. See if the Troopers can come up big on that one.
And Eastwood's always a team that has their eye on playoffs, and They haven't ever advanced extremely far, but they always compete. They'll play their Arlington Lamar, close or something like that. So they want to take it to the next level, get to another round. By district, of course, they always have a shot at that, but they want to go a round further.
Absolutely. Well, as we wrap up Football Friday night for Paul McKinnon, Silky Smooth, Sal Montes, I'm Beau Bagley. Want to thank our sponsors, Taco Avocat, Greater El Paso Football Showcase, El Paso Association of Builders, Longhorn Distributing, and Cisco Movers. Thank you for tuning in to Week 2 of Football Friday night right here on 600 ESPN El Paso.
You've been listening to Football Friday Night with Beau Bagley and Paul McKinnon on 600 ESPN El Paso. Don't forget to follow the Facebook page, Twitter, and Instagram at 600 ESPN El Paso. Visit us online at 600ESPNElPaso.com for all of the latest regarding your high school football reports and more. Once again, we thank you for tuning in to Football Friday Night on 600 ESPN El Paso.